Don't turn round.
Don't turn round,
Toby, don't turn round. I never explained that.
Well, that seems to be part of this whole.
I know.
They never explained that. They should. That's alternate title.
Don't turn round, Toby. My voice is husky from yelling at Oilers games over the past week. Hi, everybody. Hi, Livestream.
Look where that got you.
It's true. That is true. Look at all these comments. Look at these. I thought we wouldn't have anyone who's starting like. Well, we have John Williams from Tachyon TV.
John Williams is a night owl.
It's 1 a.m. in London town.
John, we salute you and your very strong liver.
Yeah. Where is it now? How do I turn the spinning globe off? I don't remember.
I don't know. You're the one that controls that.
There we go. Turn it off. Hi there.
Oh, I haven't changed my thing away from Turd
You're not
Ferguson
Turd
yet.
Ferguson. Who's Turd Ferguson?
Well, you
What's
are
that
spiritually speaking. But
Where's that
Ferguson,
from?
Celebrity Jeopardy on SNL.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm less impressed now.
Less NL is what I call it.
Whoa.
Norm MacDonald
Hot take.
thing. Norm MacDonald joint.
That's right. Midday in New Zealand. This one's for you, New Zealand. This one is for you. Yeah, absolutely. You made the Lord of the Rings films, and then you had your entire union structure hacked up so that they could make more Lord of the Rings films. So
Lesser
you're welcome.
Lord of the Rings films.
Yeah, too.
Having to decide between the Oilers or watching Doctor Who yesterday was a dilemma.
I watched both.
Yes.
I even watched a bit of the end of the Oilers game after I watched Doctor
Yeah.
Who.
I would say something about you prioritizing the Oilers, Stephen, but I mean, it's kind of your job to.
It was
Literally your job.
literally my job to
Job to
prioritize
do
the
that.
Oilers.
So.
And religion. So there's that, too.
Yeah, it was a thing. It's a day here, kids. It's a day. I'll explain it on the podcast. It's actually pertinent to talk hockey on RFS. What Neil Perry? What has happened to the magic of Doctor Who?
Same old, Neil.
Oh, Cat watched it. You don't even pay for cable, Cat. That's ridiculous.
Come on, Kat. I thought you were my ally in apathy here.
Oh, sports is great. It's listen. Here's what's
I
great.
disagree vehemently with that
Here's what's
statement.
great about sports. It's when you think about it, is entirely arbitrary as well, and yet we all get so head up about it, just like Doctor Who. Completely made up. Nothing is of import. But we.
John,
just
I'd like to point out I'm in fine shape. I just look hideous. I didn't stay up all night screaming about the Oilers.
I stayed up till 3:30 in the morning.
Yes.
I went to bed at like 10:30.
And tweeted or Instagrammed or whatever about it as well.
Yeah, well, the sun was coming up at 3:30. I had to mention that, given it's the
Well, that's
longest day.
Alberta too, so I mean, what a surprise!
Yeah. Well,
It probably went down at midnight.
Yeah. How come our numbers are as good as when we did this like 8 hours earlier? You people are sick. What is wrong with you? Why are you here?
Time
Thanks for
zones.
showing up. Thanks for showing up. We loved it. This is the part, if for those that don't know, we wait for people to start because nothing I hate more than live streams that start before you're ready for them to go. So, and this is us just talking. Just rapping with the kids.
Neil is his usual optimistic self.
Never.
I'm not entirely sure I disagree with him, but he is his usual optimistic self.
Yeah, I don't know if my voice
It
is gonna
made
hold up for
Fear
this
look
whole
like
thing.
Genesis of the Daleks. Neil, what if we don't like Genesis of the Daleks?
How dare you?
I think it's not good.
I think you're wrong.
Mercy.
Disgusting.
I subscribe to the Graham Burke newsletter about Genesis.
Well, you too can rot in
Yeah,
Destiny of the Daleks hell.
I love it. Okay.
What has happened to the magic of Perryman? Bring back Tachyon TV, you cowards.
It's supposed to happen. I remember the tweet. I think I bookmarked or favorited it or something, and then all things happen. I
To
understand.
be fair, I think the pandemic happened, so.
No, it's gonna come back in 2023. I don't know if actually Neil and John have actually met each other before, but here we are. It's like reuniting the cast of the tripods here in
That was the first thing that came to my mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is Erica
Sure.
even here? I don't even know.
Erica's in
Yeah,
there.
she's
yes.
there. She's in the chat.
She's there. Cat's there. The all new Doctor Who Book Club podcast is there. The whole
That's
gang's
true.
there.
Erica already recorded her thoughts on the incomparable Flashcast.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Legal reasons.
There we are.
I'm not sure if Cat's
I half
ready-
believe that, John.
Verity records tomorrow. I know. I don't know.
Verity records. Erica's not on that.
Erica's not on there. Okay.
No, because she doesn't do both. Her voice, yeah. Mine. This is why. Listen, thank you, Patreon supporters, for the Shure SM7B microphone, where I can just let the microphone do the work for me. Just turn up the end. There we go, and I'm sort of NPR in this whole thing, because then I could just murmur into the microphone, and then you don't have to.
But this school board has a problem with it. Illinois. This is NPR. I'm
NPR.
Terry somebody. I don't remember her name.
NPR Pop Culture Happy Hour did an episode on Doctor Who recently.
I'm sure they did. And then they did something about musicals, probably.
No, they did. They reviewed Bridgerton. No, I can't say that because I don't think Erica has watched all of Bridgerton.
They review a lot of stuff I don't care
No
about.
Bridgerton spoilers.
So that's why I don't listen anymore. Because I was like, well,
Ed, we
stuff
won.
I don't care about.
Ed, I saw your tweet earlier today, Ed, and I see that you're here as well, speaking up for Empire of Death. Not that you know what we're going to say about it. Yeah, no spoilers about Bridgerton. Anyway, I like to know what people think about things, which is sometimes why I listen to podcasts about shows that I don't watch, just because.
Well, that's almost all shows.
Well, I know. I mean, I'm already clueless about a lot. Like, I had to Google what this meme was about. This is going to ruin the tour. What tour? The world tour. And I thought, oh no,
I don't know what that
this is the
means
thing that I
either.
missed. It's
Justin Timberlake.
It's like 2 days old. It's from when Justin Timberlake was arrested.
Justin Timberlake was pulled over for a DWI.
Yeah.
and
But here's the thing. I don't care.
The
No.
cop that pulled him over apparently was so young that he didn't know who Timberlake was.
Oh, well, I'm old enough that I'd forgotten who Timberlake was. Also, this whole thing of people like, oh my God, he got pulled over. I'm like, well, you always seem like kind of a dick. I'm not surprised. Like,
it reminded me because I watched the brilliant documentary June 17th, 1994 recently, and the 30th anniversary of the famous day, the same day as the OJ chase, and like when AC Al Collings is on driving the Bronco down the LA freeway. And he's phoning 911 to talk to the cops. And he goes, I'm here. I'm driving down the freeway in the Bronco and stuff. I got OJ. He's got a gun to set. Okay, and do you are, sir? And he said, you know I am. He just like yells that out. I just like basically.
who the hell was
like
he? I
Justin,
have no idea who that was.
He was a former football player himself.
Oh,
but,
all right, sure.
Yeah. Anyway, that made me laugh. I mean, no, it's a tragic situation for all involved, but.
Well, he's dead now, so good riddance.
That's true. That is true. Yeah, we're going to talk about some Doctor Who. I like very RTD finales, says yesterday, but I think I have a good guess, at least, at Steven's reaction.
Oh, I think I can too.
I don't
think
even
it's
know.
Similar to mine.
I don't even know what my reaction is yet. Ed, we did win. We won game 6, so game 7 is Monday night.
In Florida.
We were down 3-0. The day of our last recording was the day of game 4 when I thought we were going to get swept. And then we won that game 8-1. And then we won the next game 5-3. And then we won last night 5-1.
5-1. Yeah.
And somewhere in there, my voice cratered because I was yelling so much. So that's where I'm at right now.
But you've got a CKOA jazz announcer voice now.
A little bit. It's not even like I even took a COVID test thinking I forgot. Like I guess, but no, it's
I went to high school with one of the CKUA. I think he does jazz.
Grant
Stovall. Grant Stovall. Yeah, I went to high school with him.
I think I went to high school with his sister Laura Stovall.
I knew we were gonna get into the Edmonton.
Of course you are. Yeah. Well, let's get it out now.
Yeah, it's true. Well, we often get it out on the podcast, and sometimes we talk about Edmonton too.
Just given this is a video called, do not get it out on the.
That was my joke. That's what I meant the joke. I didn't have the air horn.
We don't need little Steven on the air.
Let's talk about Pyramids of Mars. We could talk about Pyramids of Mars today, at least. That's another thing we get to do.
Yeah.
Did you watch
upgraded VFX Pyramids of Mars?
Yeah.
I didn't even. No, I'll talk about what not.
We'll
hating
talk
the
about
effect.
it.
We'll get to that. It's on somewhere on my list of.
Yeah, it's in there.
crap.
It's in the middle somewhere.
We'll talk about Pyramids where it slots in the episode in Empire of Death. So when the scene where they're in the memory TARDIS, that's when we'll talk. Because that you could actually do an edit. You could do a Tales of the TARDIS edit.
That's true. You could.
I want to do it. I'm going to do it. Okay.
So what? Okay, your Mel erasure is strong here.
She's in the corner. She's napping.
and being possessed.
That's why they're going. Do you
and-
remember Parallel to Mars?
Yeah.
I do actually a lot. Yeah, that's right. Shh,
Yeah.
Bell's sleeping. Though we got it.
They just
gotta
traveled.
play.
The Doctor and Sarah just traveled in the TARDIS and NBD.
That's true. All right, let's enough of this banter.
Yes, let's get this going here.
Let's record a podcast, everyone, and then
one
you can
moment.
listen to it, and then you can go to bed if you're in the UK, or if you're in Newfoundland and Labrador.
Not the Doc.
And it's Shannon Patrick Sullivan. He might be on this. He's at least one person.
It's
I
in
know.
Newfoundland, yeah.
Yeah, he's Newfoundland and Labrador. The full name of the province is Newfoundland and Labrador.
Very clunky. That's where the extra half hour comes from.
Yeah, it is. There I am. There's my Audacity rolling. I'm going to turn off the handy hold music. The music tells you that we're not started yet. But now it's off. So are you ready, Chris? You ready for this?
Yeah, I just hit record in the thing.
All right. Here we go, kids. This is our
Oren,
little
are you recording?
I sure am.
This is our last video episode for a while, by the way. I should point that out. So,
Apparently.
I know. Apparently, till the next one. But all right. All right. 3, 2, 1. There we go.
A big spike on the waveform there.
That helps me find it
That's the whole
during the
idea.
complicated
There we go.
editing process when I
Yes.
transfer this to
In
Telecine.
audio.
I transfer this to Telecine, and then I do the razor blades and chop it up, and then that's how it works. So,
I
all
kind of
right.
half believe you would make this more difficult for yourself.
Maybe I want to do that, Warren. Maybe I want to do that. All right. Are you ready? Are you ready for this?
Yes.
Okay, here we
There's
go.
a big yellow thing there.
I know what happened there.
Yeah, it's like apparently you have to buy that
premium?
comment. That's for $9.99. That's very.
Did you pay us $9.99, Dr. Strangelove, or do we have to pay you? I don't know. I don't
Or
understand.
is
what
that a
that
link to
means.
something that's on sale?
No, thank you, or go to hell if we have to pay you. $10
Or both. Who knows?
Either or. I don't know which one it is yet.
I would
but-
assume YouTube Premium subscription
Yeah.
or something. But I don't know.
Maybe, yeah.
It could be. All right, here we go, kids. Let's start a podcast. 3, 2, 1. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Radio Free Skaro, episode number 966. I am Stephen in Edmonton.
Or in Vancouver.
And Chris and Edmonton.
This is it. We are at the end of the first season, or the 14th, or the 40th of Doctor Who. Just watching Warren's reaction expressly to see what happened when I said 40th, season 40 of Doctor
Hey,
Who.
you know what? You can call it that. Just on my hard drive, it better not be foldered like that. That's all I'm saying.
No, well,
That's
no,
your decision to make.
it doesn't. It doesn't have a production code, at least a handy production code on it. So like 4G, for instance.
Andy hasn't been around since 10 and Sarah.
Nope, but we did see him handles.
It's on handles.
We're here to talk about episode 8 or 9, depending on your point of view, of season 1, Empire of Death, the finale. There it is, of Doctor Who, where we pick off from last week, where Suek is revealed in a ham-fisted fashion, and then everything happens in this episode, and then it doesn't, and then it ends, and that's our review,
That's
our recap
pretty close, yeah.
of that. Chris told us before recording that his list of notes is longer than, to quote Malcolm Tucker, clean, an effing Leonard Cohen song. So we'll get to that later. But just because of, Chris, your history with Russell T Davies, I am very curious to hear your initial thoughts on this Russell T Davies
List
finale
of things.
I'm just transfixed with John Williams throwing out random production
He's
codes into the chat.
in the chat on the live stream. He's throwing out random production codes of Monster
It's a trap,
Peloton
in the words of
and Planet of the
Planet of the
Spiders,
Spiders and Face of Evil.
Evil's in there. Yeah,
Bravo. We're all very impressed.
yeah. Chris, your thought, your initial reaction to the Russell T Davies finale, Empire of Death.
Thank goodness it wasn't the end of time part 2.
It wasn't the end of time, part 2. That is true.
I'm gonna change that. I'm gonna start calling it the bell end of time.
Oh, dear.
Anyway, no. First watch, I'm like, what the bleep is this? nonsense. This
Right.
is just trash.
Uh-huh.
Gave it some watch it for the first time last night, and let it stew. Watch it again this afternoon, and I definitely enjoyed it much more the second time around. It was I think it was just the lack of shock. I already knew what was coming and when.
You were braced for it.
I was braced for it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, the oxygen mask has dropped from overhead, and I've put mine on before I assisted others.
There it is, old friend.
You should do that. You should do that, yeah.
On the whole, though, I mean, you always worry about RTD sticking the landing. He did not stick the landing. I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry.
He did
I
not.
don't think you did.
He did not. Being a Doctor Who nerd, I was thinking last night, like, what do I like the least from this season?
That's very Doctor Who nerd.
The Devil's Court, I think, still is below this.
Still there.
I think the Devil's Court is still below this. For whatever that might be.
The last 5 minutes of Devil's Court, I try not to let that impact my opinion of the episode as a whole. For me, anyway.
It's still, well, I'll get into it when I talk. But.
Yeah. Well, talk now.
All right. What are your initial? Well, as far as Devil's Court goes, there's plenty worse. There's plenty more besides that terrible last 5 minutes. There's plenty of other things that annoy me with Devil's Court.
Right.
Anyway, Empire of Death. Yeah, I'm kind of in Chris's boat. I was like, well, I said the week before, nobody's better at raising the stakes to the insane tippy top like RTD, and nobody's better at then letting us all down with it afterwards. And not always. Doomsday is good. I'm sure there's probably another one in there somewhere.
Parting the Ways is really good.
Ways, yeah, but
first two of them.
Journey's End is a real letdown, and Last of the Time Lords is a real letdown after two great ones beforehand. And this is not as much of a letdown as either of those. But how much of that is due to me expecting a letdown? because I was like, okay, this is a standard RTD, hand wavy beats, some stuff I like in here, but overall kind of dumb. And just starting with, so Sutek kills everybody and then he just kind of hangs.
Yeah.
It goes.
Well, he's basking in his destruction and the lack of life and whatever.
And then he's baffled by this one woman he can't understand because apparently he has no access to the internet, which would be around. And I'm pretty sure if you can survive the time vortex for millennia,
unit Wi-Fi,
probably look something up on
unit
internet.
Wi-Fi has a very particular password combination.
I mean, maybe his fingers are too big; he can't.
Buffalo,
right?
Two F's, one L.
Yeah, exactly.
Buffalo was the password for you.
So it is. That's right. They've probably updated it, I hope, since 2005.
I bet you they haven't.
Now it's Bison.
My initial impression. Yeah, here we go. More RTD for good and for ill. This is about as RTD as it gets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Update. So this is where I talk about sports. So apologies, briefly, but so the ridiculous coincidence of a Doctor Who finale and a whole season, let's face it, airing at the same time as a truly epic and historic Stanley Cup final is going on. So last Saturday,
you are the Venn diagram for this,
right?
That's how they planned it when this was shot last June.
Happening at the same time. So last Saturday, we recorded on Saturday morning, the day of Game 4. Mm-hmm. The Oilers were down 3-0 in the Stanley Cup final to the Florida Panthers, having scored 6 goals total in the whole series. Not even. 4 goals in the whole series. And I was like, well, A, I'm depressed because we're going to get swept in the final. And B, well, at least I don't have to worry about Game 6, which is going to be here in Edmonton, and which I would be working and which I'd be very emotionally invested in anyway. At least I don't have to worry about that clashing. There's my very thin silver lining to losing the silver bowl that is the Stanley Cup. Saturday night, the Oilers win 8-1. Amazing. Yay, well done us. At least we won one game. Back to Florida. Going to be tough to win another. Well, guess what? We won another. And then that made that Game 6, and the Oilers, if they win that, would go to Game 7, which is on Monday night. And so my entire, this is the first time in the longest time, maybe ever, that I wasn't even thinking about Doctor Who on Friday.
For pretty good reasons. I mean, you were working the game.
It was not even on my mind which is it made me sad. It made me sad because I don't want to. And that wasn't like me, think I hate Doctor Who and I don't want to watch this anymore. But like, I wasn't as looking forward to this as I probably would have been or should have been. And so when the time comes that I watched, I got home, the place went nuts. The whole city was going crazy, let me tell you.
Driving Zambonis down the street, the whole 9 yards.
It's amazing. This city is amazing.
How very Edmonton.
It's like, as Greg Wyshynski of ESPN has said, that basically Doctor Who fans, there's like the people who wear like jerseys, like I would probably if I went to the games, and there are people who just do like Oilers cosplay. And that's exactly, there are like basically hockey nerds because they do cosplay to go to Oilers games. It's a really unique scenario. There's a weird combination of nerd and sports. And so I got home and I had to watch like as much post because it was not in the right frame of mind. And so then I watched Doctor Who and it's almost like I don't think this is good, and I feel bad that I feel that I don't know if it's my my complete distraction right now that is giving me this opinion, or is it just not good? And I feel bad that do I have to defend this show now? Because it was the kind of episode where I feel like a lot of people probably weren't going to like it. And judging from the reactions that I've seen on Slacks and Twitter and TikTok, apparently
I'm a control variable because hockey doesn't affect me. And
I know, but and so it took me a good long while to sort of like think, is my opinion being swayed by outside events? And maybe like you, Chris, I think I was a little more immune to numb to its impact this afternoon when I watched it for the second time.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to watch the commentary version, but I know you guys did, so I look forward to hearing about that, and I'll probably maybe watch it tonight. I don't know. We'll see. It's
Vicky Dello, Benita Langford, and
which was funny.
Russell T Davies are on the commentary. And it's pretty good. He explains a couple things that were cut from the episode, not by his wish, incidentally. But
the origin of the memory TARDIS is explained, which is kind of cool.
Yeah,
that's good. Okay.
So why don't we start there? The memory TARDIS, which is a neat idea, and I have to tell you, would have been great had we seen it for the first time in this episode and not in November when Tales of the TARDIS came and then leaked in the one shot of the trailer. I thought it would have been
many people are seeing it for the first time though.
They are, but
not just we're the dedicated dorks looking at the intros and outros.
Well,
the shows are
true.
2 million times.
True facts. Yeah,
true facts. Apart from people in the
no
UK.
printer.
Yeah, but even people in the UK who's narrow down who's dedicated enough to actually check out the Tales of the TARDIS. There's not that many people in comparison to the crowds of people watching Doctor Who.
And also
for them, it's a new thing.
And not everybody watches trailers either. I would disagree insofar as having the notion of the memory TARDIS there before we see this works better because this is a remembered TARDIS.
Right.
And it just it fits.
Mm-hmm.
Like I can buy that narrative more having the knowledge of the memory TARDIS than if I didn't have that knowledge, I think.
Right.
My problem, and it's a meta problem with the meta. Not with I like the remembered TARDIS stuff, but my problem is that I like the stuff in the remembered TARDIS more than anything else, and that's always a bad side. It's like the end of Star Trek Beyond, where other Kirk, fake Kirk, looks at the picture of the real Enterprise crew, and that's the only part of that movie I like. I'm like, well, that's a bad sign and it's a bad sign for the movie and for me. Because that's what I'm into is the old crap, and I'm like, okay, I'm just when she touches Colin Baker's jacket, I'm like, it's a lovely moment.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm like, well, the member berries are getting me. That isn't indicative of quality overall. It's just getting me.
Yeah.
I know you didn't watch the commentary, Chris, but in it they said that basically this came first. The memory TARDIS happened first. And then Russell T. Davies says, they built the set.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, totally.
And that's why they made Tales of the TARDIS.
Yeah.
This was shot in June, July last year.
Yeah.
And the Tales of the TARDIS stuff was late. It was September when RTD came up with the notion of it.
And they were just going to get rid of the set and he said, well, let's not do that.
Whatever.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And good for him for doing it. Like,
this definitely came first.
Hashtag to build the sets, I like the memory TARDIS bits too because it kind of reminded me of there it is, Jason Sell in the set. I deliberately referenced him. Hashtag build the sets. I I liked it because it reminded me of the Moffat finales when, and I do like Moffat. We are Moffat. This is a Moffat friendly zone on this podcast.
Yes, it is.
We're free to say.
Like
Moffat,
as far as they're dramatically different. Like part 2 is dramatically different from part 1, or
yeah, in that there was like chaos for episode 1, and then it was just like 3 people in the universe and a TARDIS set, and I was kind of like, oh, here we go. I kind of like this bit. But even then, it was kind of chaos. I wish, like many times, I wish that there was more breathing space in this era of Doctor Who, and I don't think there is.
that's not going to happen.
No, I
it's
wish
just
it
not
would.
the RTD way.
No, I think ever since Moffat had to beef up Matt Smith's scripts because he delivered the lines too fast.
Right.
I think we're never going to have that breathing.
And it's just
again.
not TV now, unless
Yeah.
it's procedural, in which case it takes 20 episodes to get to where one.
Right.
Not to mention, I would just even on top of just dialogue, you've got the fast cuts and a bajillion edits. And,
Yeah, that's another thing.
all that stuff to just make everything seem quicker than it is.
And it doesn't need to. It's actually funny. There was a comment on our YouTube review from last week where I mentioned that I wish the scene where Ncuti Gatwa like punches a couple walls and stuff at the end there. I wish they would have stuck on that as one solid scene, and I thought the emotional power of it would have been great. And then I sort of reasoned, unless maybe they were shooting at a real location and they couldn't afford to like break an actual physical wall, and somebody who actually works at that building where they shot commented.
Not the BBC offices. They
no,
pointed
with
out
the
exactly
BBC
what it
offices.
was.
I thought it was quite hilarious though. But I mean, this is the thing where we don't have enough time. I'm kind of jumping to the end a little bit in that, all of a sudden Ruby's going. I mean, she's not going. She's coming back next year. But this is kind of like Tegan at the end of Time Flight. But
more of a gap, but yeah.
Yeah, and like the scene doesn't build as much as I want. And then just when you think that I wish this had a little more time to breathe so we could appreciate the emotional impact. And here's another big problem that I had with this episode. The scene just gets lacquered with Murray Gold strings right
absolutely.
from the get-go.
Way too
and
much
it's
Murray
just
Gold.
like
way too much.
It is just like it's just treacle.
It takes away from what they're trying to do.
It really did.
I
really
will
did.
counter. I will
Okay.
counter with when the Doctor makes the realization about what Sutek is actually, what he actually wants, and about Ruby's mother and all that kind of stuff. Gold's music just stops dead
Oh yeah.
when that realization comes.
Yeah, it's
That's
only this
good.
one
So
part where it's really
there's
over
some
the top.
positive stuff.
Yeah.
with his stuff.
Yeah, it's just that one section at the end where they kind of go egregiously overboard on it.
It was way overboard. And I can't tell if that was like Murray Gold going, I want this to be big, or if the director / Phil Collins / RTD says, we want it big here.
It feels like
Big
It makes it
strings.
feel like they have less confidence than they actually probably do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
right?
it just doesn't. You're like, okay, you're trying to overcompensate for two people doing a pretty good job, honestly, at
Yeah.
performing this. So
I know. I feel like that goodbye scene wasn't earned because we've barely known this time team. We basically didn't have two entire episodes. We basically didn't have them because it was just Millie for one episode and them just sort of talking on screens and Dot and Bubble.
There's also the stuff throughout the series there's all this reassurances from the Doctor to Ruby and hugs, and he kisses her on the head a few times in this one or whatever, things like that. And at the end, she's like, I love you. And the Doctor turns his back to her. He starts crying, but he turns his back to her.
well, apparently, I think they said that in the commentary that they were planning to have him say "I love you," but then they decided not to, and the scene seemed to work better in the edit, I guess.
Yeah, which is good. You should have said "I know." I mean, and just flip the doors. Out you go.
And then they should say, "I have a bad feeling about
Snap
this,"
fingers,
and whatever other Star Wars.
I do like him saying, I don't do domestic without saying I don't do domestic.
Yeah. Yeah. Doctor cries a lot now.
That's fine. That's who this Doctor is. That's fine with me.
He's the therapy doctor.
Yeah, like he's unlike 14 or any of the other ones. He doesn't hold it in like they do, which is fine. That's the whole point of the character.
I don't know, but by the time Erica said in the chat she likes the crying. Just that by the time it happens every episode, it's just like I don't. He's always crying now. He's crying at everything. Like
I don't.
you know,
I think you're exaggerating for effect here.
I don't know.
Yep,
It's
a
one.
little
All right. Well, I could do with a little less of it. Maybe I prefer the stoic nature of Peter Capaldi.
Why isn't he a grandfatherly gentleman?
I know,
not?
right? I know. Maybe that. Honestly, I mean, it's just the humanish RTD Doctor. I think that is sort of coming out again. You know.
That's fine. That's the kind of doctor we've had before. But
I
I'm
suppose.
fine with it. You can have all
Better-
sorts of different doctors.
Okay.
Better
All right.
better crying than emotional hair wiggling, says Kat.
Yeah. That's true.
If you don't want crying, go for Capaldi.
I know.
There you
All
go.
right. I thought. I don't know. Maybe I was thinking that. I don't know. I just want to see
Steven?
what you two thought. Yeah.
Eric asks a good question of
Yeah, I know.
would it be okay if he cried over hockey?
Yeah. That's worth crying about one way or the other. You're right though. He is an emotional doctor. He laughs as much as he cries, I guess too. And so
He's living life. He's said that in numerous episodes.
yeah, I suppose. I know.
Plenty to criticize in this episode. That really
this
didn't
is-
bug me all that much.
Yeah.
This is the woke era, man. Get with it.
Yes, it's too woke.
Yeah. Anyway,
Please don't believe I have that for a second.
back to towards the beginning of this episode where Sutek appears and then blows dust on everyone and
And they get Avenged,
and
which is the first thing I thought of when I saw him. I'm like, oh, so everybody's getting Thanos.
They
Okay.
get double Thanos.
Yeah, that's true.
yeah, the birds will sing again as the the ridiculous line that Kate says. Over before getting zapped into non-existence. That I honestly thought, oh no, wow, did they? And then once everybody else is okay,
Well, when I saw Rose go, I'm like, okay, they're all coming back.
They're
There's no way
all
they're getting
coming
rid of
back.
Rose, right?
Yeah.
There's no way. And then Kate seals the deal. I'm like, of course they're coming back.
yeah,
But I'm like, they don't kill Rose for that not to get reversed.
yeah, but it's like 4 minutes in. 4 minutes
Yeah.
into the episode, and it completely kneecapped itself because I mean, it's Doctor Who, of course. Like they're not gonna to wipe out the universe at the end of the Pandorica opens
No.
and stuff. It's gonna come
And
back.
they had enough time for the Doctor to react, and the fact that he had possibly caused this himself, etc. All that stuff was fine. I didn't mind any of that. It was cool to see Shooty go through all that. It's just later when they've backed themselves into a corner when they're doing DNA tests from 2046, which doesn't make any sense. Roger Ab William, who just got on my nerves more than he did before. He's
Right.
such a
What-
RTD character.
Yeah,
Oh, he's the worst guy ever. Oh, all right,
What
okay.
what doesn't make sense? Just curious.
Well, why? First of all, the fact that Sutek couldn't just figure out who this person is to begin with. He's been around for a zillion years and he's super intelligent. Cerebellum, like a spiral staircase.
But
Yeah.
he didn't have that information in 2024.
Come on. This is Sutek. You can ride the TARDIS for millennia. You can probably figure this one out.
Well, he can't go on the
But he
internet.
couldn't.
He can't.
But
he
that's
just-
it. He couldn't.
But it's so arbitrarily stupid.
Oh,
I
I
don't
know.
care if it makes sense. It doesn't
no.
feel like it makes sense.
I'm not going to say it's not arbitrary.
Yes.
It is.
And they have to go to
Su-
2046 to what it looks like a video game level to me. Like,
Right.
honestly, to all of which works into Mel being possessed and becoming a plaything of Sutek, which was cool. She does a really good job of that. I like that part of it. I find it funny that the minute they get possessed and they walk out of a door, they all automatically go cloaky, but which doesn't make sense, but it's kind of cool, so it doesn't matter.
Right. Well, I mean, there was a cut scene apparently because they're supposed to go there via the Remember TARDIS or something, and then the TARDIS is supposed to vanish, but instead they just they says, no, Russell, we're gonna make this beam and it's gonna transport them into the unit
Which
HQ.
he himself says that we're never using that again.
There's a giant plot hole here, then, folks. So there's
He even
obviously-
knows that,
There's
yeah.
obviously a little bit of friction there, I think, in the making. Because I at the time was going, what happened to the Remembered TARDIS now? Because that just sort of like he
Yeah,
kisses
where is it
and
now?
It doesn't fade away. It just stayed
Presumably,
there.
there's going to be more Tales of the TARDIS at some point, right?
Oh,
So,
probably. They did build the set.
Yeah. So I don't know. Like, there's bits and pieces I enjoy about this. It's RTD finales, ramshackle and slapped together and hand wavy though they are usually kind of fun, and this was kind of fun, but
Yeah.
also kind of stupid. So there was that. The kind lady is apparently this big deal. I'm like, well, I guess because he gets a spoon and that turns him on to trying again. I
Yeah, so-
suppose, but it still seems a little slathered on.
By the way, I didn't realize until now that I have the single most important bit of Doctor Who merchandise ever, which is the sonic spork.
I forgot about that.
Which is a screwdriver handle with a spork on the end. Apparently, I could just break it in half, jam it into the side of the TV that has BBC iPlayer on it that they basically watch to get them out of jail. I do love that basically the Doctor, it's just become an advertisement for BBC iPlayer.
Did I love that we're showing footage from, and that he calls it cultural appropriation? I love both those things. I thought it was great.
He goes to Ruby, listen, let's just show you. Let's just fire up BBC iPlayer and watch Pyramids of Mars from the memory window. And now what I want to know is, if they go back in the memory window with that little TV that's now broken, sadly, can they watch missing episodes in the memory window? Can they
watch this episode?
Maybe they can. Is it just telesnaps? They go, sorry, the telecine camera was 73 yards away from the monitor and couldn't film episode 6 of the Daleks Master Plan.
Okay, that's another thing. The 73-yard stuff gets thrown in here. I don't think it's all that significant. They seem to think it is.
It's not.
Also, the whole thing of pointing at the sign thing is stupid. I'm like, call her Ruby. I'm like, what?
No.
Also, I mean, other than maybe she walked out of a Lord of the Rings marathon, what other reason would she have to be wearing a cloak while she drops this baby off? It doesn't make any damn sense.
It's a weird thing. Why would you dress up to drop her off at a church in the middle of the night? I kind of understand. Okay, we're getting her out of trouble, which, again, we'll get to later because apparently she's really excited. I had to drop my daughter off on Christmas Eve in a basket on the doorstep of a church to get her away from a very awful situation at home. Good news, though, we found our dad.
Yeah, I immediately, when I heard that, I'm like, but this guy sounds like a scumbag. What you just told me 5 minutes ago. Why would you go visit him? I mean, okay, it's your dad.
No,
I feel really unqualified to comment on this because I'm not adopted
you're getting
or
it all
parent.
wrong.
Chris
hold on.
We got it wrong.
You're conflating Ruby's stepdad,
right,
with her dad.
Is it stepdad?
Okay.
Her
stepdad was the bad guy.
The bad guy.
Okay.
Her dad had no knowledge of her.
Okay. Then I dial it back. I did not notice.
Okay, I was try my comment about that.
Here's my thing. I'm not adopted. I'm not a parent of adopted kids. I don't have any experience of this. So But then again, here's RTD. But from people I know who are, they were and people who I know of somebody who's a parent of adoptees, none of them were impressed with how this is handled. And I'll take their word for it. And even when I was watching, I'm like, so why is Carla just getting shoved off the side after raising this person? And all of a sudden it's it's your mom that you found after forever, whatever.
Right.
Not to diminish that. That's important. But having said that, it just felt like the rest of the family was just kind of getting who raised her are just getting kind of shoved off to the side. Also, did Cherry get her tea? This is the key to the whole thing.
No.
Where is her tea?
The tea agenda's dead.
Unacceptable.
Yes,
Absolutely unacceptable.
Ruby's mother's stepdad.
Okay.
That's been corrected.
Right.
Okay, yeah. So 15-year-old Louise Miller wearing a cloak head to toe, drops Ruby off.
Maybe she was a goth. I don't know.
And I don't think she is like. The Doctor's not near, right? Didn't he land the TARDIS like several feet away, maybe 73
that's the other
yards
thing.
away?
Some guy pops out of a phone box with a pretty spiffy looking coat, and you point at a sign. There's better things to point at than point at this guy who just popped up out of nowhere.
There's a great Twitter thing that I saw today where it says, "I'm just out here naming future children," and there's someone wearing a cloak pointing at no walk sign and like danger crossing.
Don't let your dogs poop here.
Yeah, it is forbidden to dump bodies in the river.
It's not the worst thing. It's not the worst thing in the world.
No, it's just kind of dumb, and a lot of what RTD does is much as I don't want to make this Moffat versus RTD, Moffat has done things too, but he's very elaborate and complicated about it, so it almost makes sense.
If I'm going to pick apart that scene, and I am happy to do so, if I'm going to pick apart that scene, it's that Louise is pointing at the sign. But the only one around to see her do that is the Doctor. The Doctor has no part in naming Ruby. So that information stops with him.
No, but it just seems kind of silly.
Well, yeah, of course it is. But I'm just saying that information stops with the Doctor. It doesn't get to the church, the priest, the paramedics, the social workers, the child services, whatever. So what the hell's the point of pointing at the sign?
Right. My overarching problem is RT is great at building this up. He's better than most. But then he can never follow through, and it drives me crazy. Don't build it up like that if you're not going to follow through.
Like I could appreciate.
Like, I can't make TV. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about, but still.
Right. I could appreciate the fact that it was just a normal woman. It's interesting that Russell. So basically, this episode is a response to Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker,
which he outright says.
This is something that he mentioned in the commentary as well that you haven't watched yet. In that he loved how Rey's family was just like they're just normal people. Just she loved and he loved that.
I also thought that was great.
And then they changed it obviously in Rise of Skywalker. And so basically this is response to that. And I was happy and also let down at the same time.
Yeah, same here. I'm disappointed.
Who is that? I watched the reveal of it. Do we know who that is? Do we know who that person is? And I thought, which
again is fine. That's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
Which era of Coronation Street was this actress in that Russell T Davies saw perhaps and thought she'd be great? We need her. Ruby's mother.
Did you see the hoax on Twitter?
No, I
didn't.
About
Ruby's mother?
No. Was there a hoax? I didn't know it.
Apparently, Kat can speak to this better than I can, but apparently there was a hoax that different actresses played Ruby's mother in different versions of the UK cinema screenings.
I mean, why the hell not?
All the somebody posted this on Twitter, and then multiple people responded saying, multiple people responded saying, in my theater it was person X, Y, Z, whatever.
That's an elaborate fake out.
All actresses from EastEnders.
I mean,
that's not, as hoaxes go, that's not bad.
My Coronation Street reference was completely off the cuff. I did not. All right. Was it actual? So was it actually a hoax, or was it?
Yeah.
So it didn't actually happen then.
No.
This is why you watched Who Shot Mr. Burns then on Disney Plus earlier today.
That was just coincidence.
Because they animated different people, and then they found it. Then they revealed it was the baby. Yeah. So I guess that was okay. I guess that was nice, and it was a nice way of revealing her mom. We were jumping all over this episode, all over the place, so bear with us. I kind of like how they use the coffee, as a way of saying her name and stuff. And say, wait a second, I once pointed out a signpost that had your name on it.
But the problem here isn't that it's a normal everyday person, which is fine. The problem is that RTD hype trained the living hell out of this, saying, "Oh, you won't believe who it is."
Job.
Right. I guess.
It's his job.
Yeah, but it's also irritating.
It did kind of pull the rug out.
Yeah.
It kind of it's fooled you. Actually,
it would have been more effective if I hadn't had all the hype train stuff. Which maybe that's on me. I don't know, but
So all this time, ever since Pyramids of Mars, there's been an invisible god of death in the form of
somebody put a great thing in. I can't remember who it was.
Jackal
but they I've been painted pink. I don't like this. What am I here for again?
I didn't think about that one. Okay, I'll throw. I've got a few examples that I wanted to bring up.
Here we go.
Okay. So does that mean that there were around 10 iterations of Suek at the end of the Day of the Doctor?
Possibly, yes.
Don't forget 5 Doctors too, because
he was helping to cruise it.
Can't get there. All right. How did Suek being on the TARDIS jive with Jack clinging on in Utopia?
They
made out.
They probably had a fling. They probably had a fling. Let's face it.
Did Suek scooch aside when the Doctor and Yaz were sitting on the roof eating ice cream?
Was he just kind of hanging? Was his hand on top of the TARDIS?
Maybe.
Pyramids of Mars.
Maybe Suek licked any fallen ice cream like any good dog would do.
The hand that was edited out for Tales of the TARDIS story.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Was Suek tiny when the TARDIS shrunk in Flatline?
Yeah, also a good question. Or big. Maybe Suek was the boneless.
Maybe.
How
did Suek know which TARDIS to cling on to at the end of the 5 Doctors?
Good point.
Yeah. Did Suek have problems staying with the TARDIS when the chameleon circuit was fixed in Attack of the Cybermen?
Yes, good point.
Key. That's the best one
yet. Yeah.
No. Best one yet is one word. Idris.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. What happened there? Frontios, I think it's exploded.
Frontios, yeah. Yeah.
The Big
and
Bang, the TARDIS explodes. Does he
Bang.
explode with it? Like,
Does-
I mean,
There's any number of examples just to prove that this is just. I mean, yes, it's all made up malarkey anyway, but
Yeah, of
this
course,
is
yeah.
especially made up
but
malarkey.
speaking of
Yeah.
that, like the whole solution of the way to stop death is with death that brings things back to life. I'm like,
right.
that doesn't make any damn sense. And him
As-
just kind of tear-assing through the time vortex, which he's done before. Why is the time vortex killing him? He's been in it for millennia. That doesn't make any sense. Also, a leash is stupid. And like, I don't care if it's intelligent glove leash. Come on, that's just dumb.
Like Erica said earlier on, death plus death equals life is just bad math.
Yeah, that is really bad math. It doesn't make
math.
any sense.
2 wrongs do not make a right. 2 deaths do not make a life.
But three left turns do.
3
Now,
left turns do.
Somebody said that it's the different eras of the time tunnel, which is kind of cool, if that's true.
What about the 1980s when there were no
the
time
different eras of
tunnel?
the new title sequences.
Maybe Sutek took the 80s off, and there was no
Maybe he's
time
creating
tunnel.
new missing episodes. Maybe that's
May-
what Times of the Tales of TARDIS is. It's
May-
those are the
oh.
only ones that are left.
Maybe Sutek is behind loose cannon making recons. Of the
Maybe
times he
Sutek
wasn't
is
there.
Ian Levine making his recon.
This is 100% believable.
Now,
this I believe.
One thing
This
I gotta
thing
recant
I
on
believe.
is that I
right.
remember saying there's no way we're going to see that much CG Sutek, even with Disney money. That's way too expensive. Completely wrong. Every time he showed up, it was
time.
Big Dog Sutek.
Big Dog Sutek. Yeah.
Yep. Another good
Yeah.
example from America. I'm picturing a giant Sutek on Trenzalore when the TARDIS expanded.
Or
Yeah.
maybe not. Maybe he's just still little Sutek, like clinging
Mm-hmm.
to the side of a thing. You know, like Luke hanging from an AT-AT. You know.
Yeah, maybe.
And more than one person in the chat has mentioned, apparently Neil Gaiman said that Sutek was a tapeworm inside Idris.
Oh, there you go.
That's hopefully that cleared itself.
That's why he's a writer and we're schmucks.
That's true. That is true. So yeah, Sutek, Big Dog, voiced by Gabriel Wolf still.
I mean, it was a good performance with Gabriel. Good performances by everybody, really.
Yeah, Andy Pryor is the series hero, the casting director of Doctor Who since day one. He never casts a wrong. Everyone's great. Doctor Who and Millie are great. I like them both. And I kind of felt. I mean, I don't know. How are we feeling about this episode? I can't tell. I can't
kinda
tell
like-
who likes
think-
it or who hates it. I
Lukewarm,
don't know.
I think is the best way to
I
put
don't think
it.
any of us like it. I think you guys liked it less than I did.
Which
Yeah.
is weird. I got to
Which
tell
is
you,
very
Chris.
weird. Yeah,
it's
that
very
seems like
weird.
I'm not. And
topsy-turvy.
if I don't. I hate rating. I like ranking things, but I hate rating things.
Yeah, it's tough. Like a French.
So I mean, like on a
figure
scale
skating judge. Yeah.
scale of 5, I don't know, like a 2.
Yeah, that's about where I'm at. Like, I don't hate it, and I don't hate as much as at a time or anything like that, or Last Time Lords. As
Maybe-
far as crappy
maybe a
RTD
3?
endings go, it's less crappy than some.
Yeah, strong 2, weak 3 kind of thing, I guess. If I had to put it.
Yeah, week 3. 3 minus is what that is.
3 minus. Yeah. I don't even
There's,
know.
there's okay stuff to it. It looks great.
There's okay stuff to it.
But it just, after the last week's super big lead up, which I know is, if you look hard enough, from a bunch of frip frap, but still, it's fun frip frap.
Yeah.
It's just like Stolen Earth and Journey's End is the best version of this. Like, I loved Stolen Earth. It's super fun. Like, I know the poor Tachyon guys watched it a million times and they hate it, but I didn't. So I really, to this day, I think it's one of the best built up ones. And then Journey's End just farts it all away. And that's a lot of what this does, essentially, but not as
Yeah.
much.
I mean, yeah, I got vibes from that because when the doctor's like naming planets. Oh,
Yeah,
look at this
yeah,
planet's
yeah.
back.
There's a
And
lot,
this planet's
there's a lot
back.
of, for good or ill, there's a lot of RTD in this thing.
Yeah.
I've got all that on my list. I'll get to in time.
Let's get to it now, Chris.
What
I
do
feel
you
like
think?
some
Cross
of
that-
these
cross that off
talking-
now?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's get to it.
All right, so
Chris's epic list of notes about
the planet,
Doctor Who, Empire of Death.
the planets referenced. So I made a list of the planets. as
Oh
well
my
as
God,
the-
I wasn't expecting. Is this why it's so long? It's just a list
It's
of planets.
in part. Yeah,
Oh,
the whole
yeah.
thing is a list of planets.
Okay. Here we go.
But I also made listed the related stories as well.
Right.
So Venus, we don't actually see them go to Venus, but
No, but-
it's referenced in Marco Polo.
Oh, and everywhere.
Well, they
Venusian
learned Aikido somewhere.
and-
Venusian
yeah,
Aikido and whatever else.
Dr.
Telos, so Tomb of the Cybermen, Attack of the Cybermen.
He is really like, oh no, not the Cybermen. It's just
Well,
like,
even, I mean, Mel even says like, "Oh, the Daleks are dead," and there's like not even like
Yeah, nobody's sad about this?
nothing
yeah,
about
like,
Cybermen.
yeah, well, you know,
Karn Brain of Morbius.
Brain of Morbius.
The Youth Sphere.
All the Mendadories.
He's very excited about getting back for some reason.
Yeah.
He's happy to see the Youth back, I guess.
I mean, I'm not complaining about the Youth, but yeah.
Skaro. I think we know that one.
Yeah.
Vortis.
R.I.P.
So
Files.
Web Planet.
Well, Planet's gone.
Tigella from Meglos.
Tigella.
Pouring one out for Meglas. I've got a cactus right over there called Meglas.
Thanks thee to Ty.
Vox, which I couldn't actually find. There's apparently something kind of like that from the End of the World. But
I mean,
not
it might just be
precisely that.
it might just be a random play. It might just be
Yeah, he might have just made some stuff up.
new
too.
one in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
He didn't
Well,
say Raxapora, blah, 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 blah.
Raxapora
Thank God.
Palpatorius.
I can never say it.
Or Clom.
Better name.
Messeline, which was Doctor's daughter.
Sure. Wouldn't have remembered that.
Yeah, I remember. That's in a memory TARDIS drawer somewhere near the back
that's
for me.
way down there. Yeah.
Califrax, so Pirate Planet.
Pirate Planet. Love the Grey Moons. reference.
Spiridon, Planet of the Daleks, although the Doctor says Spiridon, not Spiridon.
Oh my
so
God, controversy.
we got another Metabulus Metabolus situation here.
Well, McCoy says Spiridon. Pertwee says Spiridon.
Yeah.
There you go.
I got a better answer. Who cares?
I do. Warren.
Good for you.
You're a bad nerd, Warren. Bad nerd.
Sure. Well, how's that news?
By the remnants of Bandraginous 5, Warren, I shall avenge them.
Okay, sounds good.
Shen from Turn Left. And
okay.
Agua Sentina, which is new.
That one's new.
Which is the planet that the kind lady is on.
It's also a brand of Guatemalan bottled water.
I really hope so.
Yeah. Thanks for that, Chris. Thanks for your sacrifice.
Pointless OCD.
Noting these down.
Pointless
Little
OCD.
both. Yeah.
Right. Okay. All right. What do you got next? What's next here?
Oh, okay. Are we hitting the list?
We're doing
Yeah,
it.
of course.
This is the
Yeah,
list,
okay.
baby. Yeah, we're doing it.
Almost 40 minutes in. All right.
I know.
All
over the
right.
place.
Let's
All right.
go. So,
There we go.
Sutek's Dust of Death. Sure. Yeah. Okay.
Just blow
I didn't
dust.
mind it. It's fine.
It's easy. I mean, it's you gotta. I mean, if you're gonna kill everyone in the universe,
It's easy to put in a script. I mean, there's a level of difficulty for animation, and
It does look cool as
CG
it's
work.
spreading all over the earth as they're looking for space.
I suppose so.
Harriet doing Sutek's Dust of Death. See also Denmark Eurovision 2024.
No, thank you.
Take your word for that. No idea what you're talking about.
The Denmark song is called Sand, and the singer is a black woman, and during the performance has sand like stuffed up her sleeves and comes out during the performance and whatnot.
Apparently, I've heard it gets everywhere. Sand.
Sure.
From one Anakin Skywalker.
That's why you don't have sex on the beach.
I didn't ask for any of this.
Nope. As soon as familiar characters start to die, you know there's going to be a giant reset button for most, if not all of them.
Yep.
So you spend your time waiting for that instead of wondering if they can be saved or whatever.
That's a
You
good
do.
point.
You do.
One thing I'll give Avengers,
All right.
they were much better at this. When
No.
they made you
They
wait a
actually-
whole movie
they
and a
actually
half.
left
no.
people. They actually left some people dead.
That
well,
too. But also the whole build up worked. Now
once-
it's apples and oranges. It's two episodes of
know.
a TV show and two giant movies that built up over 10
Once,
years.
once the little Tommy Parker, Peter Parker, what's his name, Spider-Man?
Peter
Once,
Parker.
Once he turned, I'm thinking, okay,
Well, of course they're all coming back. It's how you do it. That's the main thing.
I suppose. As our friend Erica and our friend Kirsten said, because she watched it a couple hours ago, and she referenced the whose line is it anyway? Where basically everything is made up and the points don't matter, and that's kind of nails.
Sure.
That's the RTD
whole-
ethos, yeah.
It really is.
It's
It
a
really
drama.
is.
It's a
But throwing
drama,
a-
fictional drama series.
Throw in a
It's a
dollop of
fictional
hand-waving justification, which you're going to get from them.
It's Anyway, I'll sum it up.
Which,
a
if this
little
was
later
Coronation
on,
Street, you wouldn't need it. You wouldn't know who the people in charge were. They wouldn't have to wave their hands. Stuff would just happen.
but that's true.
Like it's just because it's Doctor Who and he's got to answer to us jerko fans that this happens. Not that it's not his fault for coming up with stuff
He
in the
doesn't
first
have
place,
to
but,
answer
still.
to. He doesn't have to answer to us at all.
But he's one of us, so he knows he has to,
Maybe.
or he's going to. Let's put it that way.
Mrs. Flood isn't her true name, and she had such plans.
I called her Cruella Poppins because that's what she looks like at the end.
does look
So
a
to
little
jump to the end, obviously she looks a lot like Romana in the Reboss Operation
That's
as well.
been said. She's also wearing a very similar. I might have mentioned this last
Very
week.
Clara-esque outfit, and also
Clara-esque,
calls the
yeah.
Doctor a clever boy.
Yeah. So
Maybe
no.
she's another Sutek who's been hanging on and observing him this whole time.
Is it an old Clara for some reason?
No.
They decided we couldn't
Well,
get Jenna Coleman to come back. And
We
so
saw
we
on last Christmas what old Clara looks like, though. That's not
yes.
Anita Dobson.
Jenna Coleman.
Guys, here's the thing. After watching this episode and going, oh, so that's what he came up with. Why are we doing the emotional and physical and mental labor here for him? It's going to be something that's a letdown. Let's be honest here.
Yeah. I hope it's something new. I hope it's not I hope they're not cramming in. Although,
that's the peril. I think you're right. I hope it's something new. Your better half is kind of echoing that. Like she's saying, like nobody else in history has worn white or said clever.
Also,
I
mean,
yeah, it's true.
This is on us, the Doctor Who fans,
I know.
for drawing conclusions.
No
where
one
there aren't
else.
any.
No one else could be named Susan in the universe.
Which they completely drop, which I'm kind of half happy and half annoyed with.
I made that mention last week.
Yeah.
Like the Susan thing was like, what the hell?
A couple of people have mentioned in our chat in our live stream that the White Guardian, and I want to go back a couple weeks to Rogue when Rogue's spaceship was looking like a bird, and I compared it to the bird heads that they wore in Enlightenment, the White Guardian. So, yet another JNT callback from RTT, big giant finales, old women with red hair, and birds on their head. That's basically the RTT era in a nutshell. So, there we go. I'm saying it. The White Guardian is Mrs. Flood.
I very much doubt it. I'm sure he'll come up with something and we'll be like, all right, okay, fine. I suppose so.
I think he's being facetious, Warren.
I know, but still.
Warren takes everything literally.
No, I don't. I see this with Doctor Who fans do this all the time, and I'm no better.
We do.
We come up with the most outrageous, stupid things, and then get mad when they don't happen, and then RTD or whoever else just kind of half-asses his way through it, and we're like, and that's on him too, but it's also on us for building it up into nothing.
Right. And as pointed out in the live stream chat, Susan's name was planted by Sutek as a ruse.
That's true.
Yeah, it's still annoying though.
Yeah.
All right. Good thing this is a fictional drama series, and that the Doctor has a sonic screwdriver. Otherwise, the CRT he pulls out of the monitor would have fried him.
Also, I love that he has a little diabetes tester on his sonic screwdriver. That's kind of cool. I was
so
like, hey, I use that every day. Do I have a sonic screwdriver now? Thanks to the good people at Dexcom.
Mm-hmm. I just love. I mean, did you go through all the clips? Did you see the clips of the episodes that the TARDIS feature? Oh, look at that! It's actually literally on my screen right now. I'll look through that later. I did recognize the one in City of Death at least. There's probably others. Anyway, iPlayer. Carrying around an iPlayer. Anyway, continue, Chris. Sorry.
Playing bits of Pyramids of Mars on the quote tablet was a hit of nostalgia dopamine.
Oh yeah, hell yeah.
Oh yeah. I feel guilty every time I see those because
I did too.
This is the stuff that I chide other franchises for doing.
Exactly. I was going to say you know if Star Trek does that, you're all over them.
I'm just as guilty of chiding others and then going, but give me what I want, which is this Doctor Who stuff. Somehow you've got a free pass, which it really shouldn't have, but it does. Yeah. So there's that.
Where are we here? Sutek writing the TARDIS bareback is both cool and cringeworthy.
Oh, thank you.
I didn't need that.
The notion of Susan on every planet visited since Pyramids of Mars is also cool and ugh.
I also like to point out that Sutek's been to every planet, and with that the TARDIS has visited. Also, pretty much everywhere is Clara. So both Clara tying in with the shirt collar and
sweater,
clever boy. Yep. So drawing some connections here.
Sure.
Ancient Clara.
You bet.
Having somehow knifed a Shilder with a
Ace
shiv.
is K9.
Yeah. Is
somehow
now on her own. Yeah. Who knows? Anyway. Jenna Coleman's pregnant, by the way.
She is, yeah, with Jamie Childs' child.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Out of wedlock.
Yeah. Oh,
the scandal.
What a scandal in 2024 that must
Absolute
be.
terror.
Yeah. Let's go to 2046 when it's been outlawed by Roger Apguilliam, who's after or before he's nuked the world for some reason.
Yeah,
before.
I want to get all your DNA before I nuke you. Like, what the hell? Like
do it after.
I was gonna say would anybody ever vote for this crazy person? But I mean, we've already seen that happen a couple times.
Come on.
I mean, yes, they probably would.
We're getting there. Oh, yeah, as pointed out, Clara was killed by a bird, too. The
Yeah,
Raven is
true.
obviously the Black Guardian,
Well,
and the White Guardian is,
killed.
By the way,
inverted commas.
complete aside for the Brits and for the Canadians, Nigel Farage apparently called his party Reform UK because what he wants to have happen during these elections, a mere week and a half or so for now,
Yeah, about that.
July 4th.
What happened in 1993 in Canada when Reform essentially took over from the Conservatives when
Wow.
they died out. And I
Right.
thought two things when I saw that.
Okay.
And he said he really admired Preston Manning. And I'm going to give
Oh, my God.
some Fry family intel here.
Here we go.
Wow.
So,
There's a deep cut.
One
Yeah,
moment,
very
one more
deep
on it. Just want to. This is the Canadian content portion
Yes,
of
yes.
the podcast. You can go into the kitchen
first,
and get
when I
yourself
heard
a-
Nigel Farage say he wanted to model something after anything Canadian, I said, "Get our country's name out of your dirty, filthy mouth." I was disgusted to hear
walked
that guy.
on stage and
second,
slapped him, yeah.
he was talking about how much he admired Preston Manning. My dad worked with Preston Manning in the early '90s, and I'm not going to say anything about Preston Manning one way or the other. I never really met the guy, but my mom hated his wife. So there you go. I doubt either my mom or Preston Manning's wife are going to hear this. so it's between you and me and the live stream. But yeah,
Preston
no love in the
Manning's
Fry family
wife.
for Preston Manning's wife. Whose
Maiden
I don't
name?
remember.
Maiden name?
Don't remember.
Mrs. Flood.
I just
Boom,
remember
it's
my
not,
mother.
it's not,
My
it's
mother
not.
not having a good word to say about her. So there you go. There's some old Canadian dirt.
Okay, there we go.
All right.
Take that for what it's worth, kids.
I really hope that doesn't get back to her because I don't want
Oh,
to cause
no.
any flap amongst the octogenarians. But oh well.
Sure will be fine.
Cat chimes in with Preston Manning was a gift to the Royal Canadian Air Force.
That's true. He was. He really was. Stop talking about Farage. I'm done, John. I assure you.
Where we're at here. I did like that the Doctor realized he was being kept alive because of Ruby's mother, and that he had that bargaining chip, even if the basis of it is flimsy.
The basis of it is flimsy, and that's what kind of like. So the not
Flimsy
knowing,
as a rope you tie to Suek.
Yeah. Oh, you made me cough in laughter, Warren. So them not knowing who Ruby's mom is, the identity of this mysterious but ordinary woman, is the one thing that keeps Suek from destroying basically the rest of humanity.
Yep.
I don't.
Sure.
You got to pick
understand
something.
that.
I don't care what you pick. It's
You
gonna
could have picked better,
It's gonna be as terrible as any other choice. Like there's no good choice in that.
That's called painting yourself into a corner. Which
That is.
RTD did.
That really is. And so the solution is build another corner. That's basically what you do. Oh, look at that. There's another corner over here. I could paint myself out of this one too.
This wasn't
Look
as
at
Deus Ex Machina as usual, but it wasn't as Osterhagen key. I'll give it that.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah, I was thinking about that, but
Mel seeing and feeling the Sixth Doctor's stuff, and then later clutching the Seventh Doctor's question mark jumper as she slept. That was a moment.
It was nice. It was nice. But again, I'm guilty, absolutely guilty of
Member
doing what I
berries.
criticize Star Wars. Although Star Wars is built on this essentially, so
yeah.
even more than Star Trek is.
Well, Star Wars only takes place in like basically a 6-year span.
That's true. Even the Acolyte feels like it takes place, even though I know it doesn't. It still feels like it does.
I'm going to get in trouble for this. I'm going
we
to call out Kat on something she saw, just relative to that.
That's okay. I just scandalize my family, so go for it.
when Mel sees the Sixth Doctor's stuff, she first touches the Doctor's like his necktie thing. Kat thought it was Perry's bikini.
I mean, no.
I'm just going to leave that. I'm just going to leave that there.
Two previous companions always touch their predecessor's clothes. I don't know. It was a tie, Cat. Get your filthy mind out of this podcast.
Yeah, there's only room for Chris's filthy mind.
Yeah.
There's barely room for that.
Years that the Doctor referenced landing on Earth. We have 1999, so TV movie.
TV movie.
Yeah.
Member berries.
1066.
Happy Magna Carta Day.
Time Meddler.
Hey, Meddler.
Oh wait, pardon me. It was. I guess I was wrong about that. 12:15.
2005. Rose.
Rose. That's right. Well done. I recognize those years as well.
Well, again, things we're pointing at because we.
I
recognize them.
remembered stuff. Remember
I'm being
the
rewarded.
time, Meddler?
ATST.
ATST. It's exactly what it was.
The TARDIS, more member berries. The TARDIS door is being operated by a switch with the classic warbling sound.
Which I did love.
The sound got me. Yeah, I love the sound. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just put primal scream therapy. So when the doctor's in the doorway of the TARDIS, when it's
does a fair bit of that, too.
hovering in space.
Yeah, he screams. Yeah.
But he's an emotional dude, so I'm fine with it.
Yeah, I mean, it goes part and parcel with the crying and the just.
Also, this is a heavy
empathy
bleep that just happened. I'd probably be screaming too. Let's be honest, I'd be a pile of dust. But
Yeah.
were I not a pile of dust, I'd be screaming.
Good thing you're a pile of dust.
Yeah, very convenient.
The whole aside with Sean Clifford from Fleabag to get a spoon. What the hell was all that?
What's the kind woman? It's so important according to
He
RTD.
landed on something. Yeah.
He goes
Yeah.
to 24. He goes to 2046 Earth shortly after, and could have just found any number of spoons there.
So many spoons.
Plus,
Go into the canteen
Or
somewhere.
it's not a metal.
Yeah.
plus, why would she still be alive? Like everyone on the whole universe is dead, but somehow she's not. Like
How long has
and
he been
finds
wandering
her,
around?
and,
Like, was he using the memory TARDIS? Quick, we got to find someone who's still alive. There's one.
the
of
memory
abandoned-
TARDIS that has so little
My
power?
half-remembered
Like,
justification
come
is
on.
this dust thing takes its sweet time to do it, right? So it's missed a few people.
Yeah.
But she doesn't remember her kid's dead, all the rest of it. So which was quite well done, I thought. That whole bit.
I guess, but it was
quickly-
a weird scene, like that just did not fit in with the
yes,
episode at all.
Well acted, weird scene that doesn't fit in, basically.
Yeah.
To quickly answer the question from the chat about what was the spoon even for, it was to fix the so-called tablet display thing because he needed
blow
something.
on it,
He
like a
needed
Nintendo
some- he needed-
cartridge, you know?
No, he said he needed something that wasn't from the memory TARDIS.
Listen.
So he needed, and that's all he had available.
As gentlemen of a certain age
Right.
who had to get the TV to work way back in the day of rabbit ears,
True.
that spoon makes sense. Like the amount of stuff I would do to descramble Super Channel, like the crazy urban legends about taking foil and putting it around the RF in 3-4 input thing. Like all this is that spoon makes complete sense in that context.
Yeah. Could I just point out that like Russell T Davies and like in hinting at like Ruby's background, it's like, oh, it's tragic, it's absolutely stunning. Oh, it's just powerful and amazing. Her
why listen to him?
origins.
He's
And
just gonna
I
say that
know.
stuff.
I feel like I've been lied to.
See,
I gotta tell
Chibnall
you.
never said anything to anybody,
know.
and in the end, was that the worst thing in the
know.
world? Like
I know.
there is a kind of a happy middle ground, I'm sure. between
There
those two.
is.
But
Yeah.
Chibnall not saying anything is starting to look pretty good, actually.
Yeah. The happy ground in the middle is the Moffat era. That's where we
I didn't want to
like
say it. I did not want to say it.
Anyway, Chris, your list.
I was enjoying the comment in the chat. I liked the dead baby.
Wow. Okay, John Smith.
It was a good scene. I just don't. In the commentary, the in-video commentary, RTD said,
Yes, please tell me he explains it.
Well, he wanted to have a scene to show that there was still it wasn't just the three of them in the memory TARDIS left in the universe. There was still.
But the whole point was that there wasn't anybody else.
Because he hadn't been to whatever planet that was yet. It's the
But
flyover planet.
but
It's like
he
So
even
basically, he's
says
going to kill them by being there.
He even
it's
says the ripple effect
Nebraska.
or whatever.
Yeah, like I've never been to Nebraska. I was the ripple
Bollocks.
effect. All right. I mean, I'm
Bollocks.
just explaining. I'm not. Don't come at me, bro. I'm just.
I know
saying
you're
what
just the messenger, but
Just the messenger here,
I'll shoot you right in the face.
Wow.
man.
All right. Honestly, didn't hate it as much as this tone is making it sound like I hated it.
Yeah, it just felt weird and it was like a nice violin solo in the middle of this weird.
There's a few violin solos that are pretty good
jazz
in this.
breakdown.
Yeah.
yeah. But this was
The dead baby came back to life. Yes, it did. Where am I at here? Chaffee is apparently matcha and coffee.
I didn't know that.
Only with a certain level of mavity can you make chaffee. So,
Yeah.
You know. Are they just going to drop that like a hot rock next season?
We haven't seen the space babies that I've noticed.
Yeah, Mavity will come. I'm sure it'll come back.
They'll probably come back. What was all that Egyptian stuff? Cultural appropriation.
That was great. I thought that
I
was
love that line so much.
Right.
Ruby having no recollection of the events in 73 yards.
Well, that makes sense.
I.e. the distance of 73 yards itself, and Roger William. I like that.
It's an episode that
somebody-
did not exist. They were
No, but
actually,
that does make a certain amount of sense.
And somebody in the chat said that one thing that was changed as a result of 73 yards was Roger William not launching nukes or something. I don't know if I can quite get there myself, but
Yeah.
I like
The less time we spend on Roger William, the better.
Yeah.
He sucks.
I think so.
Chekhov's whistle.
Which
Yeah,
also didn't make a whole lot of sense to me either.
No, apparently, I mean, it's just a regular whistle.
It's just regular whistle. So
for those-
later on in my notes, I surmise that maybe it's like there's some upgrade to the Stattenheim remote inside
That's
the
what I
TARDIS,
thought.
and the whistle is able to control it as a result.
It's
Any whistle.
I love how
Any
you
whistle.
guys are justifying a random whistle. With,
oddly enough, I thought
with in canon stuff. Yeah,
I thought Stattenheim remote.
Sure.
Oddly enough, there was a scene in the during the chase, and this is what he said in the commentary, where apparently the Doctor sort of like drops the whistle through time to himself earlier on so that he can use it later, and that's why he doesn't have the whistle. If you look at it when he's like in the tunnel, when he's yelling at Sutek when he's hanging by a leash, that for some reason he has opposable thumbs, but he can't detach the thing from his. Anyway,
yes, that was very strange.
but he hasn't got the whistle anymore because in the original version he's gotten rid of it. There's a couple moments in this episode where I feel like RTD wanted something and they cut it and they had to do something else than what was different, and I thought, interesting.
and
but mostly dumb.
There was
some of
creative conflict going on here, you know.
Yeah, and at least some of those cuts yielded some confusion.
A little bit
say
of
the least.
confusion. Yep.
Yeah.
There you go. Whistle.
Sutek being able to see or track people through their dead skin, etc., cells is creepy, and I'm willing to buy that idea.
Yeah, sure.
Guess so.
I mean, if you can have snot creatures from sleep, then you can have Sutek tracking you with his skin radar or skindar, as it were.
They're eye gook creatures.
Well, whatever. Who cares?
Boogers.
Eye boogers, yes. The Doctor kissing the memory TARDIS when they get to 2046. Nice little touch. I like that.
That was a nice touch.
It was supposed to fade away though at that point, but they didn't.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, or
Well, I mean-
sometimes shortly
I mean,
afterwards.
Yeah, because they get as was mentioned earlier, they do get like teleported away by Sutek.
That's what changed it. Yeah.
Even though Mel was born well before 2046, I would have liked to have seen her be the one to quote hack the computer, because she still never used her computer skills
No, it's true.
yet ever.
But her moped skills are top drawer, so.
Yeah.
Orange Vespa, yeah. The Doctor sending Mel out of the room to keep watch makes sense insofar as he's figured out that Sutek is watching through her, and he doesn't want her in the room. But who exactly is she meant to be keeping an eye out for on a dead planet?
That's a good point. That's a good point. Go. Well, is that you're saying? Why is the Doctor's ruse of telling Mel to go out and keep watch?
Yeah,
is meaningless.
To watch, yeah, to watch for who? Like,
Yeah.
yeah. So the whole point is to get her out of the room because they don't want Sutek to see whatever comes up on the screen for the name.
Is that
Which
the
is
last?
fine.
Is that
Which
the
is fine,
last
but-
vestiges of Mel going? I'm
Yes.
going to leave the room.
Yes, because the next time we see her, her hand is up in front of the Doctor's face.
Yeah.
And I did like that
she's
she
got
was
the death
fighting
mask
it.
thing.
Just like, what's her name, Harriet Arbinger, when she was giving the big speech and there's a tear going down her. So it shows there's something in there. There's some vestige of the person in there, which I kind of
Right.
like.
I feel like Harriet Arbinger's dead. She was like zapped by the big time laser from the TARDIS console, which exists
She
now.
might be.
It was kind of
Yeah.
cool to see her as the hand of Sutek controlling everything. That was
Right.
kind of a neat, because he's just hanging on there, and obviously he's not going to go into the TARDIS because God only knows that'd be super expensive anyway and dumb looking. So it was kind of
Yeah.
cool to have a human avatar doing it for him.
Yeah, and even beyond that, like once the Doctor and the rest were supposed to be killed after Sutek learns Ruby's mother's name.
Right.
Is it Harriet or Susan? One of them says you can end our half-life, whatever.
Yeah.
So they know
I think
they're
it's
goners
Harriet.
once.
Because you wouldn't want Mel to say that.
All right. Okay.
Well, it wasn't Mel. Yeah, it was Harriet or Susan.
Yeah.
Can't recall which.
Well, Susan's fine though. At the end of all that, it's like, hey,
Not just
go-
Susan's fine, but
Yeah.
and
so is Mel. So
Game
you're
of
right.
Thrones Blue Susan is fine. Borg Susan is fine in the future. All these
Are
other
there-
fake Susans.
Are there
I did-
still? Are they all Susans? And they're all
I would assume so. Yeah.
fine.
Well,
Probably.
if they're not, then you break the universe. Like, there's no dinner lady. There's no all these other people they met, right? So-
Have they been projected? I don't remember. I actually don't know. This is my
No, they were
question.
created every time the Doctor landed on whatever planet.
Ah.
Sutek created the Susan for that.
Did they get
trip.
erased when they went ripping through the?
I don't think so.
The
My
joyride?
headcanon says no.
No, I think I agree.
Just curious.
Yeah, I think you might be right about Harriet being killed by the laser
Like,
sparky thing.
all the other
'Cause
servants
you
of
don't see her
Sutek.
again afterward.
No, that's just gonna say. Like, okay, we saved everyone except that person. Probably Gallifrey, maybe the Flux planets. They're probably still gone, or are they? We don't.
Or has this
Reset
rebooted
button.
the universe yet again? Who knows?
How much reset in the reset button is what I.
Everything.
You know,
Everything except Harriet.
poor Harriet.
Because
so,
you're
like
able
everything
to
in the
drag
universe
Sutek on because you took Sutek for walkies, you've rebooted the universe.
is
Harriet-
literally
Okay, sure.
everyone who died post the pyramids of Mars.
No.
Have they been brought back to
No.
life?
What
No.
about the people in Torchwood
No, I
Miracle
mean-
Day who won't die?
Oh yeah.
Obviously, there's no answer to that question provided by the show, that was raised earlier on in the chat, and my answer to that is no. It's just things were reset to how they were before.
Since those who got dusted got undusted, basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
And here's where I'm going to give Marvel credit.
from-
After
except
people
for-
got
except for
undusted
Harriet.
in Marvel after 5 years, they showed consequences to that, as opposed to the usual "ta-da, everything's fine again"
Yeah.
that Doctor Who does.
Yippers. What's on your list, Chris?
I'm getting toward the end of it, thankfully.
All right.
Where are we here? When the whistle calls the TARDIS to the other side of the room, away from Sutek, is it perhaps just an upgraded Stattenheim remote? Already talked about that.
Right.
Is the dog on a leash motif of corralling Sutek perhaps a little too on the nose?
I'm going to get nose boops for that. Yeah.
A smidge, a little
It's-
boop on a little terrier's
it's kinda
nose
stupid, is what
for
it is.
that. Yeah, this magic. Actually, that is the Osterhagen key. This magic memory rope. That
Yeah, well, it's
is-
intelligent gloves and it's intelligent rope or whatever.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
I guess he couldn't cut it with his giant clawed hands or his canine teeth
But it-
or
but
his
it cuts in an
godlike
instant by
power that
closing
couldn't
the
get rid
TARDIS
of his
door.
rope.
The TARDIS door.
The
just
TARDIS
like,
door just shears it. No
it
problem.
Just like, boop.
Yeah, of course it does. Because maybe
Yeah.
he touched it and made it less dense or whatever. But how could Sutek not? Anyway, whatever. Who cares?
He brings you Sutek's gift of rope.
I like Kat's comment. If Sutek got more nose boops, he might be less angry.
Maybe.
But
you know?
okay, you first, Kat. You boop him on the nose. I'm not going anywhere near that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go with that.
Although I do have my two Suteks are just over there. They're standing by the TARDIS now. But Nosferatu is already menacing the TARDIS, so they got to wait their turn.
All right.
Already touched on this previously. Bringing death to death to bring life. I don't think
That
that's
make
how
any
it.
damn
I don't
sense.
think that's
Not
how it
make
works.
Any sense whatsoever?
I like Erica's. That's just bad math.
It is bad math.
That is not even
the
like
do-
it's not even new math. That's like not.
I can't even do
algebra.
math, and I know that's wrong.
Yeah. Calculator.
The Doctor eulogizing Sutek and talking about how Sutek turns him into a monster is somewhat disingenuous, considering he had no qualms, quote, killing Sutek in Pyramids of Mars.
The first time, yeah, that's exactly what
Yeah,
I
I know.
thought. It's like,
Well,
wait
this-
a minute, you may be a monster. Well,
I know
didn't
he's
you do this
I
the
know he's
last
the
time?
therapy doctor. He's
therapy now.
or whatever. So he's more in tune with.
And that's just
emotion and
Sutek.
empathy.
There's
Yeah.
plenty more people. You spent 2 or 3 doctors were talking about it being in the Butcher of Trenzalore and blah 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 and all the rest of it. So I mean, come on, give me a break. This guy in
That's
particular,
True.
Yep.
That's true.
who deserves it more than anybody else, frankly.
Given the Doctor thought he killed Sutek with the time vortex in Pyramids of Mars, and he again uses the time vortex to kill him here. Quote, kill him here. Will that be another red herring about Sutek being dead?
I can't see them bringing him back again,
No, I think it's done.
I think
which
you're
is
right.
fine. Like,
think you're
once every
let him
50 years
go.
is fine for Sutek.
He'll be back again someday.
Yeah,
like
on the 100th
Frosty
anniversary.
Snowman. Yeah.
Or 110th, I guess.
Ruby's. Anyone catch Ruby's father's last name?
No. What is it?
Garnet.
Okay. Oh,
Another
yeah.
shade of red.
yes.
Other shade of red. Wow. God.
So clearly Romana is Ace and K9 is the Master. Gotcha.
That's true. What other names for red are there? Is it going to be an anagram? Is there going to be a red
Crimson.
theme? Crimson.
Well, there's-
Crimson Horror, in fact.
Scarlet and
There's any number of red hues.
right.
She was important because we think she's important. We invest things with significance. I did like a lot that Ruby's mother was just some ordinary person.
Yeah.
Yet somehow Sutek was still hung up on her.
Yeah. So basically, Sutek is the guy at the beginning of The Expanse who spends a season and a half freaking out about someone he's never met.
I guess.
Sutek's that guy. That's what Sutek is.
Sutek is the slack taters from Dot and Bubble who have to eat people in alphabetical order, and it's like, I'm going to kill everyone, but this thing is bugging me. This is bugging me.
A giant nerd and possibly an incel. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's too hung up on the admin.
Yeah, exactly it. So that's why.
Mrs. Flood with her best Romana from Rebus Operation cosplay.
That's what
I'm still going with Cruella Poppins.
When Mrs. Flood delivers her monologue, it's snowing.
Which isn't explained otherwise.
What is the deal with the snow?
And the music.
Is the snow not...
The snow and Mrs. Flood are at least two things that we don't get answered. They'll be Christmas special
I thought
or
Mrs.
later.
Flood was going to be Clokey and memory thing, but apparently not.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Maybe this ties into either it's just the Rebus operation. The Rebus operation is coming back.
Benro was right again.
Benro was right.
The doctor's going to need a bit of Jethric because the TARDIS will break down otherwise. Or something.
You know who's going to love this? New Who people. They're going to love hearing about the Rebus operation.
So,
they just can't get enough of it.
To quickly touch on that,
right.
and I've seen, I don't know how many people remark about this, and every single one of them is correct. RTD talking about how, if you need a place to onboard with Doctor Who, this is it.
Until it is.
What's in the finale? 15 planet names you've never heard of.
A memory TARDIS full of stuff.
A memory TARDIS full of stuff
old
that you've
jerks
never
like
seen. Sutek from 1975.
Yeah.
Like,
I do feel I know.
I mentioned this in Space Babies, how there was the massive info dump at the start with all the lore.
Yeah.
Versus RTD1, where that took 3-4 years for that to manifest. And here it's all in episode 1/2, however you want to.
Right.
Well, the Imagine Disney audience are very impatient.
Yeah, I do wonder. I mean, I always wonder, and have been for a while.
That's maybe part of it.
Yeah, like how.
Maybe not, though. I mean, yeah.
How people brand new to Doctor Who feel about, like, are they left out in the dark? Like, the naming of planets, I feel like that's whatever. They can just name planets. We know what they are.
Sure.
Doesn't really matter. No, that's just all.
The Sutek thing, them literally showing a clip of an old episode.
Which, if you're
on a TV.
Let's say some 16-year-old kid watching Doctor Who for the first time, the hell is that going to mean to you? Nothing. Yeah, I'm freaking out about it because I saw it when I was a 14-year-old kid, but that's because that's who it's aimed at.
Yeah.
Which I'm not complaining about, but also is a little exclusionary. Now, having said that, the rest of the season isn't. So, and I've said this before, if we saw some reference to like the chase when we were 14 years old and watching Pyramids of Mars or whatever,
right?
What are we gonna do about that until we have Peter Hastings' Celebration? Like kids now can just look this stuff up, right?
So the best parallel I can draw from my own experience, and I think you two probably shared this at least to a degree, if not as much, the Five Doctors.
Yeah, I don't know what half that crap was.
When you first watched the Five Doctors, did you have any freaking clue what was going on with Jamie and Zoe? Or
not really, or Susan for that matter.
Or Susan, or
and they're asking
Brigadier,
Warrior
or whatever.
I thought was from something else. I was like, Raston Warrior, what's new? Damn, because this guy's cool.
Because everything else isn't.
It's so weird. Yeah, I don't even think about, like, my first master was the Keeper of Traken. That was my first, and like, so when Tom Baker goes,
mine's
of course,
skeleton guy, so
the master, they go. Apparently, it's somebody called the Master. I've never
and to me,
heard
the
about
Skeleton Master will always be the Masters. So, because that's the first one I saw.
Yeah,
just like Roger Moore being my first James Bond.
Like Delgado was the last Master of the classic series that I saw.
For us,
because we got Pertwee last.
Is he awesome?
Yeah.
Yes, of course he is. But
and I know, and you're right. I didn't know what to think about it back then. I don't remember. It's a long time ago. Let's face it. It's a long time ago. But anyway,
don't forget Brian E. Redmond.
Oh, they're talking. There's chat happening.
Chatting amongst themselves.
They've already grown disinterested in our debate.
Well, they're right to do so.
That is fair. Just to throw it out there, the very, very last thing on my lengthy list was performances from the three main actors were fantastic.
They're great. They're
Absolutely
very good.
Yes.
I love them. Millie Gibson just turned 20 this past week. 20. To quote Zoe Harriet in the War Games, I was born in the 21st century, and that's every time she says
and
that.
Shooty's what, 30? Maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah, if that? Like
Who?
Shooty.
Oh, he's 32.
Still,
in October, I think. Yeah.
Is he 32?
Pretty amazing.
He's born in 92.
I just thought he just turned 30.
No,
but
no,
okay.
he's born in 92. So,
Okay.
this is basically, in summing up, it's Doctor Who on vibes. Doctor Who operates on vibes.
RTD especially operates on vibes.
I think a lot of I think we won't get into it here too much, but like Star Trek, I think has now mostly become vibes.
It is pretty vibes based, yeah, and quip based. Let's not forget that.
That too, and I guess this is where. Is this where TV is now? Is this where we've gone?
Well, it's where I'm not.
That's the thing.
So
that's
why I read more than I do anything else.
I mean, I love Doctor Who. I always have and I always will. But I do feel like it has changed.
But also we have to be fair.
Years.
I see stuff like this and I'm like, okay, well, this is aimed at somebody who's not an ancient like me. So
that's true.
Am I just missing something? It's entirely possible I am missing something.
Mm-hmm.
So in the chat, Cat just put, would you all watch this again without needing to watch it for a podcast? It's Doctor Who, yes.
Yeah. Fair point. Yeah, I probably will. There's some Doctor I haven't seen in years and years and years, mind you. But
yeah, I mean, after last week, we watched Pyramids of Mars last Saturday. After we
many people did.
yeah, Pyramids of Mars.
And then
awesome.
watched it again on Thursday with the omnibus Tales of the TARDIS one.
Well, we might as well roll into that then, unless you're.
Well, we'll talk about that briefly when we wrap this up. But yeah,
it's on the list, Warren.
No, I know, but are you done your list? Is what I'm saying.
I'm done my list. Yeah.
Okay, well then.
No. I mean, we're still talking about.
Doesn't mean we're not done.
Gotcha.
Yep.
All right, okay.
Yeah. I mean, another thing we talked about previous RTD finales. I feel like RTD has created good finales and thus ruined finales.
Yes.
In that every finale now has to be this giant universe destroying.
And it doesn't. It really doesn't.
Thing. I know.
But the flux.
Doomsday wasn't when you got it down
like
to it.
every
But the flux.
Every showrunner now feels hell-bound that in order to go big, we have to destroy the universe.
Not just showrunners. The guy who wrote Damien Lindelof, who's done good and bad stuff on TV. He wrote a whole thing about Into Darkness, which I hate, but that's irrelevant to this. He said we should have done something lower key, but we couldn't because it's a movie and we had to go bigger and bigger and bigger. So of course the Enterprise has to smash into San Francisco. He's like, we didn't want to do that, but we kind of had to do that. So that's just expected now. Like, and you can blame Marvel, you can blame any number of other things. You can blame earthquake movies from the '80s if you want to. Like, this has always been a thing, but it's just way more of a thing now.
Yeah,
for a certain genre. Anyway.
I mean, it didn't work that well, but the Battle of Ranskor Kolos was pretty small stakes.
Yeah,
and it wasn't a good story. That wasn't even Chibnall himself admitted that that was a first draft story that we made.
Power of the Doctor is big as hell and kind of stupid. It's fun and there's great bits to it, but it's
I tell you, I'm a little worried about Doctor Who. Is that all right for me to say?
Well, then you're just a Doctor Who fan. You're just a Doctor Who fan.
I mean, I don't care about ratings of the BBC because TV itself.
Is this an RTD?
I don't know if this series, despite the massive publicity push that it got in this country and everything else, I don't know if it is resonating.
Well, here's the thing: it's 20 years old as of next year.
It is old. That's exactly
about as old as not
we're about
Five Doctors' 20th anniversary.
We're about
Five
Doctors.
the Five Doctors stage.
And like Russell T Davies is saying in the Radio Times, apparently he didn't state any figures, but apparently it's getting good numbers on the BBC through the iPlayer with the kids.
It's hitting. Apparently. Was it under 30s?
It was under 30s or was even younger. I think I don't know.
Something. I remember him mentioning 30s. I think it was under 30s.
Might have been, but then in the same article, he's saying kids don't even watch TV anymore. And what I'm worried about is, are we chasing an audience that is no longer watching TV?
Well, what choice do you have
anyway?
What are you going to do? Not make TV?
However, being the streaming, all the streaming stuff, be it iPlayer or Disney Plus, sorry Ireland, how many? Because we're so not long before we were recording, I sent you guys an article about Disney Plus numbers
Yeah.
for Doctor Who, or at least inferences about Disney Plus numbers.
Definitely inferences, yes.
And we talked about Space Babies Devil's Cord hitting the top 10 for Doctor Who on Disney Plus, all that kind of stuff. How many people out there are waiting for all the episodes to drop before they even start the first one as well?
Or haven't watched the previous era and are going to watch that first. Or haven't watched any of New Who and are going to watch that first. These are all habits people could have.
There's a billion factors involved.
Yeah, and also the thing you're sorry, go ahead, Chris.
No,
I was going to say you're saying, well, why are we making TV anymore if it's kids are just watching stuff on their phone? Well, what else are you going to do?
I know. Well, I mean, I mean, it's just sort of targeting that kind of family audience, and I know that Russell T Davies kind of brought back the family
aiming
audience.
at us, it's going to die.
I know. Well, no, I'm not us.
Yep.
But, you know, the what. I know what you mean. The weird. I never expected myself to come around to the show as much as I have, but
with the new era.
No, with Star Wars Andor.
Oh.
I am.
Yeah, but that's one example.
I know. I have become so enamored with that show after being really impatient with it when it first came out, but realizing that it's brilliant, but just being told at too slow of a pace for my liking. And then when you actually watch it in one go, it's amazing.
I agree. I've done that, and it is amazing. But I would love to see, and we're never going to, the ratings for that as opposed to The Mandalorian, which is much more crowd-pleasing.
I know. It's Neil makes a good point. If they cared about a family audience, they wouldn't release the episodes at midnight. That's the thing. I think that we're once again, I feel like the Chibnall era was at a time in, not to coin a pun, flux, in that they didn't know if it was an iPlayer thing or a broadcast thing. They
had a pandemic to deal with.
There's a pandemic. It was caught in the middle zone. The BBC didn't know what to do with it. They didn't know whether to focus on broadcast or streaming, and it was kind of like left as a football in the middle of the field. And now it's like becoming a big streaming thing, but there's still that like the BBC element of it that is kind of confusing things. It's kind of become what all of TV is, in that it's a fan generated thing.
Well, I mean, that's what YouTube is, right? So,
the general
YouTube
public
is bigger than TV.
I mean, it's not like the general public are all watching House of the Dragon. It's not like the general public are all watching Star Trek: Strange New Worlds. No, it's just the fans of those shows are now watching those shows. Nothing is really appealing to the general public anymore. And I feel like Doctor Who is still trying to say we are totally still, even though we're on iPlayer mostly, we're still trying to appeal. And I feel like it might not be hitting with kids, and it might not be hitting with adults. And bringing it back to Andor, I think Andor is the one, the Star Wars property that kind of like grew up with its core audience and was telling a Star Wars story that's a little more mature, not like Torchwood season 1, season 2.
No, but like adults in an intelligent way. Now,
and like
here's
at some point, will Doctor Who have to realize that this is what we, this is the audience that we should maybe be targeting a little more.
You're wearing the jersey of the only thing that's left that gets a mass audience: sports. Nobody else, or maybe a big news event which you can't predict, except for like an election or something.
Yeah.
Like nothing else gets those numbers, and nothing else is going to. I think, and this may not be something I personally want to see, but once RTD's done his bit. And this is with a whole bunch of the same people who did in the first place.
Yeah.
Don't bring back Moffat. Don't bring back anybody that age.
No.
Bring back some Wonderkin TV person, whoever it might be, who's like 30, who has a bunch of new ideas and a new doctor and a bunch of crap that I'll probably hate. But at least it'll be interesting and cool and different.
Somebody who got famous from YouTube reaction videos.
Yeah. Please no. I mean, I will probably.
This is a broader TV thing.
But just bring in new people, because you can only go with old crap for so long. We're seeing this in politics. You got two of the oldest guys ever to run. One of whom is insane, and one whom's just old.
Yeah,
running for office, and everybody, no matter what side of the coin you're on, are like, I'm so tired. This is the boomers are all 80-something now. It's just we need new blood, and the new blood ain't us either.
It's true, and
somebody who's 30 or 25.
This is one of the things that like the TV strike was kind of about. Like basically, the TV industry is like taking writers, taking their ideas and spinning them out, and no one's learning the act of and the art of show running, of running a show.
That anymore. Too, yeah.
And so I'm a little worried about that. Is that the new ideas, like Russell T Davies is in his 60s.
Yeah.
And he's writing Doctor Who and
he's
trying to think about
very
like,
accomplished
what the kids
and doing his
He
best.
is.
And I'm not criticizing him per se, other than this particular episode.
Yeah, right.
But just all this stuff is old too. Like Star Wars is old, Star Trek is old. Make some new stuff. Find something new for God's sakes.
It's tough to do.
Nobody wants.
Nobody wants it.
This is a problem that solves itself. And maybe just TV itself. Maybe all that stuff is dying out. Who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe it's all going to be AI slop in 5 years. And we'll be happy to. Maybe the new showrunner will be ChatGPT 6.0, run by some AI bro. And we'll all hate our lives as we get sent to as our biomass gets used to power that AI. Oh, I'm dying for Doctor Who. Please put me in the meat grinder. I don't know how that got to there, but it did.
I don't know either. Anyway,
Doctor Who, huh?
I know it isn't fun. Doctor Who's fun, but I'm a little concerned about it. Because I wasn't that 100% pleased with how the season played out. I'm not that pleased with the fact that it's not like they can make a course correction now because season 2's already done. It's in the can. So if they probably thought this is going great, let's roll on.
Well, that's a massive peril of shooting it the way that they shot it. Is you can't.
There's no course correction.
Can't have that audience feedback to improve on season 2.
In some ways, that's good. It should be pointed out.
Yeah.
They made all three Lord of the Rings films at the same time, and therefore they couldn't say, "Ooh, they like this person. Let's write whole new scenes of
for whoever the
Lord of the Rings was Lord of the Rings was logistical as much as.
Yeah.
And Lord of the Rings was like a lightning striking a bottle thing. It's not going to happen. It couldn't happen with The Hobbit either.
They keep trying, though.
Now, I say all this, and I saw what Neil Perryman said about how it needs a rest, which I kind of understand. I said that about Star Trek, and I was right about that when many other people were too. It did need a rest. It was really running out of ideas. But when it came back, I didn't like that either. So there's most of it. There's a chance that'll happen again with Doctor Who.
It probably doesn't, Star Trek, or Star Wars for that matter. It also probably doesn't help that there's just been this deluge of so much stuff.
Yeah,
Stranger Worlds and Discovery and Prodigy.
And there's probably something out there that's a huge deal with under 30s that we don't know about that is going to be a big deal 20 years from now. There's just a bunch of stuff we're just too old and ignorant to know about, frankly.
Well, and because things like Star Wars, Star Trek they make money. To a reasonable degree, anyway.
Yeah, true. And so does
the people who have that money to pay for these things are the people who are
and the other problem is
middle-aged and whatnot.
Not even that. The guys who were in charge in the 90s in Hollywood, who were in the Young Turks then, are now the old Turks now. They're in their 70s, and they're the same guys making the same decisions.
We're basically a new Hollywood era the first time around.
It kind of is, but without movies to replace it. It's not going to be movies. It's probably not going to be TV. It's probably going to be something else. It's going to be Vision Pro.
I know.
You saw it here.
Yeah.
It's going to be, TikTok is, it is what it is because of what it delivers.
Yeah, and I hate what it delivers, but I'm not the intended audience. So.
I don't like TikTok.
No, I don't either.
TikTok.
But that, again, who cares what I think? It doesn't really matter. Does it appeal to as people get older, they tend to get set in their ways, which we certainly are 3 examples of. So
We're not going to be the ones to solve this.
No, we're not going to be the ones. Because we're like 10 years younger than RTD. What the hell do we know?
Yeah. And we have no power in this anyway. So.
No.
That too, yeah.
No, we don't.
Excuse me, we're 3 podcasters. Well, obviously,
no, we have all the power.
So I was just having a peek because I hadn't seen anything. I wasn't sure what Ian Levine thought of.
Don't do
Why would you do that to yourself?
Why? We're having such a good time here. Why?
So number 1, it's his birthday apparently. So happy birthday, Ian
happy
Levine.
birthday.
Number 2, he hasn't said anything, at least on Facebook, about it yet. The last thing he mentioned was about Pyramids of Mars, Tales of the TARDIS, ragging on Benjamin Cook for his editing of it.
There's our segue. I mean, you know what? I think it was kind of a fun little the edit.
I didn't mind the
5-minute edit. It's chopped out a lot of stuff from the episode 4, which was stuff
I love, but I can see why I cut it out.
I was kind of like, I'm okay with losing about 2 to 3 of those little puzzles because I was thinking about
One thing I found interesting is at the beginning they actually showed Sutek's face as opposed to just a green light, which makes sense in the context of the episode 1 as it was.
Yeah,
I was amazed to a point of what was left in. So, for example,
like crappy Sutek mask when it shows up in the TARDIS.
No. I mean, that's something I think should be left in. But stuff like when they're discovered in the treasures room by the butler dude, he says to them, go out the way you came in, because they said they came in through the window. So they go out the window, and you see them like traipsing along and ducking down under the
But
other
you got
windows.
that music.
Whatever.
Come on.
True, but I mean stuff like that. I'm like, they left that was left in.
I was surprised at Steven told me they updated the time tunnel effects, and I'm like, I love the disco time tunnel, but I was actually shockingly impressed with how well it worked.
On that note, they did. I was also surprised that they didn't update the visuals for the brown and white swirly bits.
Oh, in the
at the end.
I love those though.
yeah.
Like
That might have been tough. That might have been tough.
The other?
Yeah, because those are on
can't
set, weren't they? That was lighting on set.
Because they're
wasn't it?
all no, it was all CSO set.
Oh, okay.
basically.
Okay.
Yeah. Russell D Davies mentioned again in the commentary for Empire of Death about how he always envisioned that was the Doctor Who time tunnel in that the Sutek was being shot down. So basically, that was the whole impetus. The whole thing was that scene there, thinking that was a time tunnel.
And they work in the new effects with him coming out as they're watching on the tablet, which I thought was kind of cool.
Yeah, I thought it was. And then what I like about it, and I can't. It's been so long since we started this damn episode that I can't remember if I said this on the episode before we started recording. But I want to do an edit where you could just slot in the Tales of the TARDIS scene into the episode of Empire of Death when Mel's taking a nap, and then
The machete cut, if you will.
Judy and Billy talking about it, and then they talk about it for 75 solid minutes while Mel is having a nap in the corner. You can make a supercut. You can make a supercut if you really
Well,
want.
somebody did with Star Wars, where I think it's Obi-Wan talks about, his Anakin,
Oh, yeah,
and then
yeah.
then you cut to episodes 2 and 3, and then you cut back to episode 4, and it makes more sense.
Yeah,
and you
it
just cut Phantom Menace out entirely.
Yeah. No, I you know what? The original Pyramids of Mars still exists. One of my favorite things was when somebody was mock complaining, or possibly genuinely complaining to Benjamin Cook, that he edited out the hand holding down the cushion when Sutek gets up in episode 4. Anyway, the stage hand from the BBC in the 1970s, I can't remember his name,
That is so good.
responded saying
Yeah.
that
that.
was my hand.
That's awesome.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
So that was.
I mean, I kind of
What do they
understand.
call themselves? The lowest of the low for floor managers or something,
Yeah,
or floor people.
I understand cutting it out. I also, a small part of me, it does die inside of the fact that it's been cut out, because it's part of the whole thing.
It is. It is indeed. Anyway, that was good. Not that we were allowed to watch it, of course, because we are not BBC license fee payers. So
Bad
We
people.
just-
I certainly was a bad person this morning, watching plenty of things I shouldn't have been to
like
catch up
the
with this episode.
The Unleashed,
Like
and
Unleashed,
the,
yeah.
Both Unleashed.
commentary. Yeah.
I did watch both Unleashed.
So did I. And
Didn't
that
do the
second
commentary.
Unleashed was kind of work because it was a clip show of Unleashed. It was still pretty good.
Yeah.
Now, one thing I got to say, I don't know if I
Yeah.
saw it in the episode itself, but Handles is in that memory TARDIS, or at least he was
Handles
an
in.
option for the memory TARDIS,
Handles
the
is
greatest
in there.
living companion.
He was shown. Yep.
Yeah, Handles is in there, so absolutely he's in there. So that was pretty cool. Not that we know it, of course, but yeah.
Nope.
Anyway.
Of course not.
People
This
have been
is for
putting them on
Handles.
YouTube. Like I think all the Tales of the TARDIS, the interstitials are basically on YouTube. If you
Which is the main reason you watch these anyway.
yeah, let's face it.
I mean,
you know.
that's why I do anyway. So
Exactly. What else happened this week? Are we done? Is that it for Empire of Death and all that?
Think
Are we?
so.
Is that it? And our
BBC published an interview with Gabriel Wolf.
that was nice. He
Yeah,
was
it was
also
nice.
in.
Definitely nice. He
Was
was
he
also in
Unleashed?
Unleashed, yep.
Unleashed. Yeah, he was Unleashed. Yeah.
Yep.
That was there. Doctor Who magazine 605 came out, and Shooty Got was on the cover. I have barely again Oilers playoffs. This came and landed, and then I did not read much of it at all. Sorry, but it's out there for all the people that like Doctor Who magazine, where they cover the last episode. And next issue will be a nice loving tribute to the late great William Russell, who of course died recently. So
That would make sense. Yeah.
that'll be in there as well. It's the part where we talk about the cover of the latest, the next Big Finish release. This one's the Quintessence, which has Joe Grant and John Pertwee, although not John Pertwee because he's passed on, voiced by Tim Treloar. That's coming out in October. You can get it.
Died flipping burgers.
Now, just to address a rumor, Stephen, you told us off mic that you'd seen that Sean Pertwee was in the cast somewhere.
So
and that was,
let's talk about
and I was kind of half hoping that he would just show up in a flashback or in the memory TARDIS or something. Or
Initially we did talk about this because we weren't sure if it was going to be an actual thing, but the cast list for the cinema screening, which happened in the UK for the 2-part finale, for some reason had Sean Pertwee in there.
Which I wonder if that was just a fake out. Obviously it was a fake out because he wasn't in it. But
I don't know, or if they just took like the cast list of the 5-ish Doctors and the opening scene therein, and Olivia Colman was in there too. I don't know, but no, Sean Pertwee did not turn up in any of these episodes that we watched.
Too bad.
So
it would have been great if he just stepped outside the TARDIS in the vortex and like started fly swatting Sutek or something.
Yeah.
Which doesn't make any sense because it would be beforehand. But
if only he had played the baby.
A baby played by Sean Pertwee. That'd be funny. What was it? What was it last week that the Celestial Toymaker came out? I think, or the week before. Anyway, on Blu-ray.
My Blu-ray is finally shipped. It's
It's
not slated to come for another several days.
But has it though?
My season 20
allegedly.
set, the one that I gave up and bought on Amazon, so I will have another copy of season 20 kicking around, but whatever. Anyway, the same day, the Patreon version of this came out, but it's out for everyone. But I watched so much about the Celestial Toymaker in one day. It's the Dalek 6388 Cats, a Terra Nation Army. All about the lost Toymaker scripts. It's 55 minutes long. It's brilliant. They focus.
Phenomenal.
Do you watch it? Oh, it's so good.
Kat and I watched it the day it came out, I think, or the day that we were aware of it. Yeah.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good about just like all the myths and rumors where we just assumed what would happen through the whole writing process of the Celestial Toymaker throughout the various iterations of it. All wrong. David Brunt's superb, from what I hear. Another thing that I've bought but I haven't read yet, the Doctor Who First Doctor production diaries. A lot of information, new research comes from that about who actually wrote what in that story. It's brilliant. I think it actually even corrects the production notes on the Blu-ray that just came out.
Oh.
So that's because I was watching it. Wait a second, that's not what the Blu-ray that I just literally popped in there because it's brand new said. So yeah, very good. Links in the show notes. Keenly recommended to watch that. So.
They always put in the effort.
It's so good. It's so good. We've had Gav Reimel on this podcast a couple times talking about it because we are such fans of their work. It's really good. So, and that wasn't about Daleks, and they thought, oh, this one probably won't chart very well. Well, watch it. It's really good. Doesn't have to be about Daleks to watch it. You know.
Damn right.
Last bit of news. This is Star Lost related, kids. so
it's news for me and
Stephen. Be warned. There's a Kickstarter out which is fully funded, but you still want to contribute. It's a new book coming called Star Lost Unauthorized and the Quest for Canadian Identity by D.G. Valdrin. Somebody who was on this podcast last year, Warren. You interviewed him at a convention.
He did 3 books, 3 different books: Pirates, History of Doctor Who, which is all about fan films. Incredibly detailed. There was stuff I didn't know about, and I know more than, regrettably, fan films from Doctor Who than most people do. But he knows a hell of a lot more than I do. So this is going to be about as detailed. And I was thinking about writing a book about the Star Lost, and then this showed up, and I'm like, well, I'm off the hook.
You don't have it. It's been fully funded already, but
partly by me.
Partly by Warren kicked in a bunch. The Star Lost, for those that don't know. That brilliant, awful Canadian science fiction show from 1973.
That's why it's great, because it's so bad.
That we covered on an episode of RFS last year.
Doctor Who fans and, crappy effects and just looking past that, you can understand. The Venn diagram's there.
It is really there. The bad CSO.
It's not as good, though.
The goal of $730, that's very attainable.
1,000 on here, but he's up at
you must be looking on US there. Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know.
Again, the VPN strikes.
No VPN.
Okay, yeah. John Williams is obsessed with the Star Lost. Used to be able to watch all the episodes on YouTube. They're on my YouTube channel.
One of us.
Until the rights holders banned my YouTube account. So I'm a little.
But. Yeah, the silver lining is we know who owns part of the rights to the Star Lost.
Yeah, and I asked them just
good honey trap, my friend.
Can you not do that? Can you just unblock my YouTube account? I could just take down the stuff. No reply. So So the Starlost can burn in
Still.
hell, but the book looks great. Contribute to the project.
Fair enough. Yeah.
If you want. That's it. This is epic recording for
Until
the last...
Christmas. That's the next time we got new Doctor Who.
That's true.
And I'm kind of fine with that. I'm kind of fine with taking a rest.
I'm all right. The Stanley Cup final wraps up on Monday, one way or the other, and I'll be happy when that's done. Hopefully with an Oilers victory, and but we'll still be doing this podcast because
Of course, yeah.
We're nerds. We got a Planet of the Spiders commentary coming up in the weeks to come. Oh, stay tuned for that, baby.
Most of it
Whenever
pre-Empire
we
of Death.
finish that
So.
off.
Yeah, we'll finish it off at some point. Warren's off to Worldcon at some
Hopefully
point.
I'll get some interviews there.
Yeah. Well, we've got some other. I mean, there's been some great stuff that's been coming out that has been happening during the course of season 1 that we haven't talked about much. So we hope to have some special episodes in July, talking about some projects that have already come out and maybe a couple that are coming down the pipe. But yeah,
Just
all
not
that
like
more.
80s sitcom, very special episodes.
Like it just the stuff we used to.
No
do.
lessons are learned.
Yeah, the stuff where we don't have to cram in recording times to talk about new episodes of Doctor Who. The wilderness years of the theme park months are coming again on the podcast. Eric and I will very likely be going to Chicago TARDIS again after a hiatus of about 5 years in November, so that's a thing to look forward to as well, or run away from, depending on your point of view.
Somebody earlier on in the group chat or the live stream chat had asked about are any of us going to LI Who? I don't believe so.
No, that is smack dab in the middle of August, and
I am blowing all my vacation time on my Europe thing.
Yeah,
I might even be winking a couple of days to go to Ottawa for my book thing. So we'll see. But I can't squeeze Elihu in there.
No, Long Island too. Yeah, it takes place in August, of course. But looks to be
I'll be in Europe for most of August. So yeah,
that's true. Yeah, you'll be gone. So there, that was coming on the weeks to come. Thanks to everyone who listened to us during the course of these reviews. Thanks to everyone who turned into our live streams as well. They will be back on probably Christmas Day or Boxing Day or
probably
December 27th or whenever we can find time.
At worst.
For the Christmas special, Joy to the World, of course, as we know.
What day of the week is Christmas this year?
I have no idea.
Don't know.
I have no idea.
Oh, I think it's in the middle of the week. It's a real pain in the butt.
Is it a pain in the butt? Yeah. This is like the olden days
It's a
flashback.
Wednesday. Yeah, it's a Wednesday.
Yeah. Is that bad news for you, Chris? Or
No, I don't know if it's good or bad. I just wasn't sure what day of the week it was.
Work-wise, for me,
Very
it's
important.
a pain. So.
Very
So I
important.
mean, we'll have it on the Wednesday on Disney Plus.
Will we? Oh, we will. Of course we will. Yeah.
And I think my parents might be coming out here for this Christmas, so I get to subject the entire family to Doctor Who. They're gonna be so thrilled.
You could say that's the lady from Bridgerton who's in this, and from
My
Dairy
mom will be like,
Girls.
"Who the hell is that? Who cares?"
Nicola
Shut up.
Coughlan, yeah, she's in it. So.
Coughlin.
Sorry about that. So anyway, that's what's happening on this episode, this podcast over the next few weeks. Thanks again for listening. Hope to have your ears as prisoners in the weeks to come as we talk more and more about Doctor Who, the show that will never die.
Despite your predictions of only a half hour ago.
Finally, happy Magna Carta Day. Until next time, I am Stephen in Edmonton.
We're in Vancouver.
And Chris in Edmonton.
So long for now. There we go, kids.
Okay, I'm opening the window. My God,
Yes.
it's stifling in here.
Warm in here. No more live streams when it's summer or winter if you're in New Zealand. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Neil and John, for sticking up till 3 in the morning.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
John! I hope
Yeah.
you're drunk. Come
There was
on.
no stats. I'm sorry, there were no stats.
I'm very
Stats
happy
are
about
dead.
that.
Stats are. All right. There you go. That was a live recording. So so thanks.
Yes,
That's
thank you, one and all.
That's all of our words. We really love the show, Ian McCann. Actually, we only like to cause controversy. We're gonna have reaction videos just going at that as the thumbnails to show that we actually really hate this show and have hated it for the last 18
Is Doctor Who
years
too woke?
of this podcast.
Is this video a front for Nazis?
Could be.
John thankfully says he is drunk.
Good. Carry on.
I have very fond memories of once upon a time walking down the streets of Manchester with him, also drunk at the time.
Oh,
And we were belting out NWA at the top of our lungs.
that
Fantastic.
sounds.
But problematic.
That sounds problematic.
John,
Yeah,
I'll be
it
in
was-
London for a few days.
It was many, many, many years ago.
Yeah. And on that note, bye, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your evening or day or morning. Ta-ta.
Thanks, guys.